Okay, as requested, this is part 1 of messed up stuff that my dad has done to me. For context, my parents got divorced when I was 14, and my dad has slowly gone more insane as time has passed. First major point is when he took us to Disneyland when I had just turned 15. My parents hadn't even been divorced for a year yet. It had been like it'd only been like 6 months actually. But we were at Disneyland, and at one point, me and my sister got into a tiny argument, and my dad freaked out. And for days after that, he wouldn't speak to me or my siblings, except for my little sister. Mind you, I'm 15. And he refused to go on any rides with us, and I was just with, like, taking my siblings throughout the park. We would, like, come off of rides, and he would just, like, have then disappeared. We didn't see him for, like, multiple hours on end. Safe to say, it was a horrible trip. And then when I stood up for myself afterward and told him that me and my siblings didn't like how we had been treated, he freaked out and proceeded to not talk to us for a couple weeks. In those couple weeks was my dad's side of the family Christmas party, and my grandma called and invited me and my siblings to come, so we did. And my dad didn't expect to see us there because he hadn't invited us. My grandma had, and we got there. He acted shocked because he didn't know we were going to be there, and then didn't speak to us the whole time and ignored us. For the last 2 birthdays that I've had, turning 17 and 18, he hasn't called me, came to see me, or, like, taken me to dinner. Which, like, you don't have to, but, like, a little text is nothing. When I turned 16, I got my very first job at a little drink place, and I was working so much. I was usually working both Friday and Saturday, and so it just made more sense to come back to my house instead of going to his house on his weekends, because it was either I go from work to my dad's house and then come home in the morning, go to the gym with my mom, or just come home to my mom's house, go to the gym, and then go to work later that afternoon. So it just made more sense. So I went to his house as often as I could, but I was working so much that it was not often. So I probably didn't go to his house for a good month just because I was so busy. And the one time that I did, it was in, like, July, I think, of before my junior year. And I went. He didn't say a word to me when I walked into his house. He didn't even acknowledge that I was there. He came into my room and talked to my sister and not me. He literally blatantly ignored me. Then the next morning, I got up and I went on a walk. He lives in Springville. I went on a walk just around Springville, and then came home and was headed to the gym, and I had my stuff. And I said, because I had to work later that afternoon, and I said, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. He literally sat on his phone, didn't even look up, didn't say bye, nothing. And so I was like, okay, and so I left, and I've never come back. That's not even the tip of the iceberg, but if you guys want more and want part 2, let me know, because this is nothing. Part 2 of messed up stuff that my dad has done to me. This first part is a really long story, but basically I got pulled over and found out that I have no car insurance. This is my dad's car. He bought it for me, and because the title's in his name, that means I have to be on his insurance. And so he lied, and I don't know how long I was uninsured. So we should just be very grateful that I am a good driver. The second point also has to do with insurance. This is going to be a long one. I try to keep my mouth shut. The only social media that my dad has is Facebook and TikTok, and I have him blocked on TikTok. In fact, this brings up another great point. We were friends on Facebook, and he would comment on my stuff all the time, and then he unfriended me in August. So, anyway, but the thing is, I keep my mouth shut. Especially, this is the first time I'm, like, speaking out on TikTok. But on my Instagram, if you follow my Instagram, I talk about it all the time, but I don't care. Because he doesn't have it, so. But anyway, the one time I posted anything about him was on Facebook. I reposted a thing, and it said, it is not the child's responsibility to reach out to the parent, it's the parent's responsibility to reach out to the child. I just, like, reposted it. Okay, this was in, like, June, when a bunch of stuff was going down at the time, a lot of drama with him. So it was a long time ago. So in October, end of September, early October, my mom tells me that my dad has canceled my car insurance. Mind you, I had now only had car insurance for like 3 or 4 months, so fun. But she tells me that he texted her and he said, if Brinley's gonna post stuff about me on the internet, then I'm not gonna support her and pay her car insurance. And he said, it expires October 1st. And yeah, I'm furious about this because he doesn't do anything for me. This was the one thing that he was doing to support me and to just like still be kind of part of my life. You know what I mean? It kind of sounds dumb, but like that was the only thing keeping us together was the car and the car insurance. So I'm super upset. But the problem is, obviously my mom has insurance, but because the title of the car is in my dad's name, she cannot put it on her insurance. And obviously I'm driving around. I have a job in Provo. I have to go to a concert that week. This is like a couple days before the concert. Anyway, and she's like, you can't just cancel insurance like that. That is insane. He literally doesn't care. So anyway, he ended up transferring the title over to my mom. And so now the title of my car is in my mom's name. So it's mine. It was easier to put it in her name because I wasn't an adult at the time yet, but whatever. Anyway, while this is all happening, I text my dad. And during the drama that was happening in the summer that maybe I'll touch on another day, I was like texting him, okay? Because it's to a point that I don't care what he thinks. I'm going to tell him the truth because I don't care. And my mom's too afraid to, so somebody has to. And whatever. Well, he would read some of the messages and then it stopped after a while and it just said delivered. And I was like, okay, well, either he turned off his read receipts or he blocked me or something. I don't know. So I sent him a very, very nice text message. And I apologize. At the time, I didn't know what he had seen. I assumed, my mom hadn't told me that he had said Facebook in his text to her. So I thought he had seen one of my Tik Toks where I've just like, not like explained it, but been like, oh, like my dad is like absent, whatever. So I say, I'm so sorry for whatever video you've seen. Social media is a way to express myself. I'm sorry that offended you, but also you're not innocent in this and we need to get it resolved, blah, blah. Well, he doesn't respond and I'm really hurt by this because this is a big, long message. I'm apologizing. I'm being very, very nice. Even though I kind of don't have a reason to be nice because he's the one putting me in danger. If I had gotten a wreck with no car insurance, I would go to jail and die. Like, if I died, no insurance whatsoever. Hello? So anyway, he doesn't respond. And so my mom texts him like 2 days after I had sent the text and said, Brinley sent you a very nice message and you couldn't even respond. And he responds and says, I haven't gotten a text from her since June. I had texted him multiple times since June. So he had blocked me. He had blocked his own daughter on messages and whatever, okay? You can do what you want, but also if there was an emergency, if my mom like got into a car wreck or was injured or something and we needed help, I don't have a way to contact him. He blocked me. Like, no matter the way you look at it, it's so messed up. You don't block your underage daughter. Are you kidding? So anyway, he had blocked me. He didn't get my nice text. Then he texts me and he says, all he says is, your mom said you tried to text me. And I said, huh. I responded and I said, yeah, multiple times since June. And he said, oh, sorry, I didn't get them. Wonder why? You had me blocked. I'm not dumb. Anyway, so I resend the text and then he responds this big long paragraph, but it's obviously like he didn't apologize a single time in it, okay? So it's just like it didn't do anything for me. I didn't even respond to it because he didn't apologize. He just whatever. Like it wasn't effective. I have been going to therapy over this and I like showed my therapist the text and she was like, that's the most like narcissistic text I've ever seen. And I said, yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of the end of that car insurance thing. But yeah, so the car is mine. He also doesn't help pay the insurance every month. So my mom pays the whole thing by herself. So anyway, this is a long one, but if you guys want part 3, I have a lot more. Part 3 of messed up stuff that my dad has done to me. Last time I talked about my car insurance, but my freaking car has caused a lot of fights because it has, it has lots of problems. This first story happened the winter after I stopped going to my dad's apartment because he wouldn't talk to me. And basically what happened is me and my friends went to Provo and we went to dinner. And then when we got back in my car to drive home, I started it and it was making this awful noise. Like it sounded like a belt was being like whipped really fast and was like caught in something. I don't know. So I call my dad and he doesn't answer. So I call my sister because my siblings are at his house. It was a Friday night. And so I call my sister and I'm like, take me to dad. And I'm on FaceTime. So she goes and he's in his living room at his apartment. And she like props the phone up on something on like the ottoman in front of where he is. And he's building a Lego. If you don't know my dad, he's a big like toy fan. He collects Legos and like cars and stuff, like Hot Wheels. Anyway, so he's sitting and building this thing and I'm telling him, I'm like, okay, this is what happened. I'm in Provo. My car is not working. It's on, it's making this noise. I like hold the like microphone over the hood so he can hear it and help me get it figured out. Well, I'm like explaining this to him and he's not looking up at the phone. He's just continuing building his thing. He's like acting like he's not paying attention to me. And I'm like, so, and he's like, can't you just call your mom? And yeah, I could, but Springville is closer to Provo than Spanish Fork. And I'm calling you asking for help. You shouldn't ask, can't your mom just come get you? You should say, okay, I'll get in the car right now and come pick you up. Anyway, I'm furious at this point. Also, I touched on this on the last video, but this is his car. Okay, my mom didn't buy this car for me. It's not her responsibility to make sure that it's running and that everything's okay. That's his job. It's his car. So anyway, I'm so mad. I'm just like, I'm gonna drive it home. If I break down and die, your fault. Just kidding, that's dramatic. But I ended up driving the car home. We just went through town. So we went through Springville and then got to Spanish Fork. And it ended up being fine. We got home safely and whatever. And while I'm driving home, he tries to call me. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you. You literally were gonna leave me stranded in Provo. Why would I want to talk to you right now? Anyway, so I get home, whatever. The next day, the noise has stopped, so I think everything's fine. And then the day after that, I'm leaving for school and I had gone out and started my car to get it warmed up before I had to leave because this is like a week before Christmas. And I'm walking out to my car to get inside of it because it's time to leave for school and it explodes. Like I'm talking black smoke coming out of the back, out of the hood, everywhere. It made this like horrible popping noise. It like sounds awful. And whatever. And I'm standing there in shock because I don't know what just happened. And my mom had heard the sound and ran out and turned the car off and grabbed my backpack and whatever. So now I need help getting my car fixed. I can't be driven because every time you start it, it's gonna explode again. So I've kind of blocked this out from my memory, but I'm pretty sure either me or my mom texted my dad. I tried to call him like right after it happened, because I need to get it to a repair shop. It needs to be towed there or somebody needs to come to my house and fix it. I don't know. So I'm pretty sure I had like texted him and like told him what happened. And he was like, well, my repair shop person, whoever, I don't know what his name is booked out for the next month. And I said, okay, can't you find somebody else? There are a million mechanics in the world. And he says, no, nobody that I trust. So he wouldn't help me. I even called my grandpa, his dad, and was like, do you think you could help me? Blah, blah, blah. And my grandpa's actually a really, really nice dude. And so he was gonna help me, but I ended up having like a mechanic come to my house and we figured it out. And it cost $1,200. So the way my mom figured it out is me, my mom, and my dad would each pay $400 to have it fixed. So me and my mom paid our share, and my dad still owes my mom $400 for that. Not counting the thousands of dollars in debt he is to her, but we'll talk about that in another part. Part 4 coming soon. This is part 4 of messed up stuff that my dad has done to me. My makeup's already done for the day, so we're just gonna sit and chat. So I found out that my dad had a girlfriend couple months after my parents got divorced. I had just like seen text on his phone, and in his truck he has Apple CarPlay, and so his messages would come up and it would say pause, P-A-Z, that's her name. It would pop up that she was texting him and I was like, who is this? But I never really asked. And then that summer my friend Kinley texted me and she said, hey, is your dad at the monster truck derby thing? And I was like, I don't know. And she sends me a picture, and it's my dad with a little short Mexican lady. No racism here, but from the name we had already guessed that she was whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so he was at the monster truck thing with Paws, and Kinley had seen them and took a picture and sent it to me. If I can find it, I'll put it right here. Anyway, so he had a secret girlfriend. And after that incident, I sent the picture to him and I said, hey, my friend saw you. And he was just like, oh, nice. Didn't say anything about it. And this is when we were like, still had a good relationship. This was before Disneyland, before the car stuff, whatever. I was 14. And so then a couple days later, he was taking me to my friend's house. And I was like, you know, it's okay. Like, if you want to start dating again, it's okay. Like, just tell me. Like, I told him that. I said, just tell us. We don't care. And he was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then he said, I've only been on one date with that girl that was at the monster truck thing, but she, like, freaked out on me, so now we're not talking. Bull. Because, if you remember my Disneyland story, when we were at Disneyland, he gave me his phone for a lightning lane on our very last day there when he was finally talking to us again, a little bit. And I went through his texts. And he was, like, trash-talking us to Paws. So they clearly hadn't. He was just lying. But I took pictures of his phone. He was trash talking me, my sister, saying he regretted the trip. So much fun stuff. And this part isn't messed up. He can do what he wants. He can date who he wants, but he's deliberately lying about it, which just makes it just, I don't know. Especially after I told him, we don't care. It's okay. Just tell us. This story is from after the Disneyland trip into like January or February of that next year, I think. So now it's 2023. I'm 15 and it's a Sunday. We're at my dad's house, and that day I have to teach the lesson at my church. So I had been at my dad's all weekend. He doesn't have a printer. He doesn't have anything. So I couldn't really prepare for my lesson like I had wanted to. So I want to get home because I need to print out my lesson. I need to like perfect it, highlight things, get all my stuff, get my computer charged, whatever. And church is at 9 a.m. So I would say it's like 7:45 at this point. Church is at 9. So if we leave at 7:45, we'll get home at 8. I have time to get ready. I have to get ready for church, perfect my lesson, whatever. So I'm already running late. Well, me and my siblings go get in the car to leave, and my dad is not coming outside. And I'm freaking out because I need to get my lesson done. And I had told him that. So I told my sister, I'm like, okay, will you go inside and tell dad if we can leave right now? Like, I am busy. I need to do stuff. I'm not just rushing everybody out the door for fun. I need to go home. So she goes and gets him. He gets in the car. And I can already tell he's upset. Mind you, he's literally in his pajamas. So I don't know what he was doing inside that we couldn't leave when we wanted to leave. And we start driving, and it's 15 minutes home. He starts going off on me that if I can't be at his house for 3 days every weekend, then I'm not going to be allowed to leave anymore. If I want to leave that bad, then I don't need to hang out with my friends on the weekends anymore. He's just going to keep us all at his apartment every weekend, and we're not going to be able to, like, go outside, see people. Not, like, keep us imprisoned in the house, but we're not allowed to hang out with friends, go and do anything, whatever. Because this is his time with us, and we want to go home so bad. So, and, like, this just kept going. The whole 15 minutes home. So I am in the front seat, and I am sobbing because he's sitting and yelling at me, and like nothing happened. I asked to go home to plan my church lesson. So we finally get to my house. I grab my stuff from the truck and haul a word inside my house. And I am like hysterical. He is like threatening to take away my social life over nothing. I was so upset about this and whatever. And like one thing that he doesn't understand is that I have a life. I'm 15 years old. I don't want to stay cooped up at my daddy's house every weekend. I have things to do, people to see, whatever. And he still doesn't understand that. Anyway, so he flipped his lid. My mom was furious. She texted him and was like, you don't get to talk to them like that. They can leave when they want. You're the one making them late, whatever. Anyway, it was a whole thing. And then he eventually did apologize for it. And one thing about me is when I get an apology, I kind of just blow it off. So I was like, whatever, it's fine, I don't care. It was like 2 weeks later, I was like, whatever, blow it off. Anyway, so yeah, there's another like example of him being a control freak. And if he doesn't have control over us, he flips his lid. Anyway, let me know if you want part 5. Part 5 of messed up stuff that my dad has done to me and my family. This episode is stuff that hasn't just included me. So when my parents first got divorced in 2022, My mom told my dad that he could have one of our couches and one of our TVs. So, but for the first couple months, he didn't have an apartment. He was living with his brother. So when he finally got an apartment, he showed up to collect his stuff. So I think it was in like June of 2022, and my dad had finally gotten an apartment, and he had his brother come and help him get the stuff. So they load out the TV and one of our couches from upstairs. And I'm already distraught about this because this is stuff from my house that I've lived in for 15 years. Like, you know what I mean? You're already, like, tearing up our house. So, for my parents' wedding, my dad made my mom a cedar chest. And so, when they came and got the couches and stuff, he was like, oh, and I'm taking the cedar chest. And she was like, that's mine. You made that for me. And I'm not joking. He literally just, like, looked at her and didn't say anything and loaded it out to his truck. Like, so heartless. I get you made it, but you gave it to her. It was a gift. You can't take it back. And then after they left, me and my mom and siblings all sat and cried because our stuff just got taken. Okay, complete fast forward to this past summer. My dad completely stopped paying his child support for 2 months, I think, because me and my mom and siblings had a couple trips. We were out of town, and so my mom asked him if he would be willing to switch weekends with her so that we could go on these trips because they happened to land on his weekends. And he point blank period refused and then was mad that they weren't coming to his house because we were out of town and stopped paying his child support. During this time, obviously, we need this money to support us and get groceries and whatever. So I am the oldest daughter, so I am the one hearing about it and about not getting the payment and whatever because my siblings are still young. So I'm getting fed up. So every time I'm in Springville, I drive past my dad's apartment, and he's not at work. He's always at his apartment. It's weird. Like, he supposedly works every single day. I don't think so. So a couple times when his cars were there, I would go knock on his apartment door. Call me crazy, but why not? You know? What's the worst that can happen? Anyway, every single time I go, he doesn't answer the door. I don't know if he's just ignoring the knock on the door or what, which is definitely what happened. But one day, like, my siblings were with me. It was after something. We were in Springville, so we went and, like, knocked to say hi, and he wouldn't answer. And mind you, I can hear the TV on in his house. So he's very obviously home. He just is not answering. And I get it if it's just me, but, like, my siblings are there. And so whatever, he doesn't answer, we leave. And when we get home, my sister texts him and says, we just came by to saw you. Why didn't you answer the door? Actually, I said that, but I just texted it from her iPad because I don't talk to him. And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. I was asleep. Your TV was on, and then we heard it pause. He thinks I'm dumb. I don't know. Anyway, so then another time, a couple weeks after this, me and my friend had been gallivanting around, and I'm like, let's go stop by my dad's house. So we do, and I'm like, let's knock. So we knock, because at this point, I've gone to his apartment multiple times, and he hasn't ever answered. So I'm like, let's just knock. And if you're wondering why I keep going back if he's not answering the door, why not? I say, why not? Because it just further proves my point that he is a horrible parent because he won't even open the door for his own kid. Anyway, so mind you, I'm with Magnum, okay? Magnum's a boy. So we go up to his apartment door and I knock. And obviously I'm recording because if you know me, I video everything. You guys, the front door opens. So this being like multiple times after he has never answered the door, I'm unprepared. I was not expecting him to open the door. He never opens the door. So I don't know what to say. So I'm like, hi, like a total fake hi. And I can't even remember what he said, but basically we had like a couple second conversation, and then I'm like, so when are you gonna pay your child support? Looking back, I shouldn't have said that. It just popped out. I wasn't like thinking, I was unprepared. And he like shrugs his shoulders and he's like, eventually. And I'm like, why eventually? You guys, I'm so embarrassed about this. But it needed to be said. Anyway, so I'm like, why eventually? And he just kind of shrugs, and then he's like, well, good to see ya, and shuts the door in my face. I'm gonna put the video in here and show you at the end, but yeah, just shut the door on my face. And yeah, was a complete a-hole. Oh, I forgot. There was somebody in his house. There was somebody in there, and I was like, who's here? He was like, just a friend. And I was like, oh. And I could tell it was a man. I could tell by his voice. But he, mind you, he's also like blocking the doorway so I can't see inside. So I don't know who it was. I don't know what was going on there. I don't want to know. Anyway, so he shut the door on my face. But whatever, kind of deserved. I shouldn't have said what I said, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, peace out. Let me know if you want part 6. This is part 6 of mess of stuff that my dad has done to me. Let me pull in here and park really quick. Okay, so my dad's love language is giving gifts. So you think that that would mean that he is good at it, but he's not. So for the past couple Christmases, when it's been just him, he doesn't do a good job. The year my parents got divorced, that was a good Christmas. He got me a ton of stuff that I had put on my list. Like, it was all stuff I had asked for. Also, I want to preface this, I'm not trying to sound ungrateful, but just bear with me. So the year after that for Christmas, we were at my dad's house Christmas morning, and it was already just weird because I've had the same Christmas morning for the past 15 years, and now it's different. But whatever, it was fine. We did the thing, we opened our gifts, and I opened one of them, and it was a Lego. And I don't do Legos, but it's like Lego succulents. So I'm like, oh, cute. Because we each had like a stack of presents. And my dad's like, oh, those are mine. And I was like, oh. And he's like, and that one's mine too. So guess how many gifts I had? So I opened my one gift. My siblings each had like 3 or 4 more. And so I just kind of sat and watched. It was really sad. I'm like gonna start crying about it. Like, I just felt like so bad for myself because it was so awkward. Anyway, then the Christmas after that was after I stopped going to my dad's apartment, and I wasn't gonna go. This was a week after my car blew up and he wouldn't help me. I wasn't gonna go, and then I kind of felt guilted into it, so I went, and he wouldn't look me in the eye. He only said like one thing to me, and he just kind of got us all junk. Like, but he had asked my siblings what they wanted, but he didn't get my brother what he wanted. He got my sister what she wanted, and then he just kind of gave me and my brother crap. Like a yard of Twix. I don't know. But whatever, I was grateful I had gotten anything. No big deal. This Christmas, I point blank period refused to go to his house. My siblings were there again, like sleeping over. And so I didn't go, but he brought them home, and he had actually gotten me a stocking, and there was like just like candy and stuff in it. So it was very nice. He'd given me a stocking. I thanked him for it, but I hadn't gone back. When I was a sophomore in high school, me and my dad were still on good terms. I had started working and whatever. During this time is when I really started to get into the gym and stuff. Okay, but my dad didn't really know that. So one day I'm in class and my dad texts me and he sends me a link and he says, do you want to do this with me? It's a weight loss app. You guys, I'm dying. And he's like, it's like challenges. It's called The Biggest Loser. I can't believe this happened. And I was like, sure, get this. The worst part is he's like, okay, it's gonna be $15 a month, so you'll have to Venmo me. Anyway, fast forward, I'm just kind of like, what? No. Oh god. Okay, tell me I'm fat. Like, genuinely, just like say it to my face. Also, ever since my parents got divorced, my dad, like, he's gained a lot of weight. So he needs this more than me. Anyway, I thought it was really strange for a parent to ask their child to do that with them, and then also make them pay for it. Fast forward, turns out you have to be 18 to use the app, so we didn't end up doing it. And you know what? I was already on my own little health journey. I don't need your help. It was so bizarre. I still can't believe this happened. This last part, is just kind of like, I don't know. Every time my sister comes home from my dad's apartment, I ask her, like, if he said anything about me. And, just this past weekend, Sunday, she was at his house, and I asked her, and she was like, oh, he said he doesn't know why you and Boston hate him. I might just send him a link to these videos I've been making. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. Now that we're on part 6 of horrible stuff that my dad has done to me, I just do need to preface something. He really did used to be a good dad. When I was younger, biggest daddy's girl you've ever met. My dad was in the military and he was gone for long periods of time. He was deployed for like 8 months one time, and like it was horrible for me. I was in 1st grade, but like truly daddy's girl through and through until now. And like, I don't know, he was always my favorite. And after the divorce was finalized, he really did try for a little bit. Like that summer, right after he took us to Lava Hot Springs, he did make us leave a day early though, because he couldn't afford the 2nd day. And then he took us to Disneyland, and it was horrible, we know that. And then the number one thing that I will always give him credit for is he took me to see Taylor Swift. It truly was such a great day. I'll put a picture of him right here, that in the shirt that I made him get. And one thing that I need to say also is that it's really, really hard to see your loved one that was like your absolute favorite, and like your person slowly turn into who he is today. It's very, very truly so sad for me. I've had a long time to like get over it. So I do want to say he used to be a good person. He used to be a good dad. I'm gonna start crying. And it makes me sad that I even have to tell these stories. It's horrible.
Let's talk about some of the weird punishments I had growing up. So my mom would never like take my phone away from me physically. She would just put 1 minute of screen time on every single app. I'd open TikTok and have 1 minute. I'd open Instagram, 1 minute. Snapchat, 1 minute. Like literally everything had 1 minute on it. Like she would like let me have a little taste of freedom to then like just take it away. It was actually kind of funny looking back. One time in 6th grade, I can't even remember what it was that I did, but I got in a lot of trouble. And instead of like taking my phone away or like grounding me, my parents traded my phone and got me a flip phone. Yeah, so there's little me in middle school walking around, going from an iPhone to a flip phone, and I just know my parents enjoyed every second of that. And honestly, I would probably do something like that in the future. It actually was funny. Not at the time, but it is now. One of the times that I got caught sneaking out in high school, instead of like telling me I couldn't go anywhere that weekend or I'm getting my phone taken away, instead I had to do yard work and power wash. So the morning after my mom had picked me up, after I got caught sneaking out that night, she woke me up at like 6 in the morning and she was like, all right, let's go. You're doing the yard work and you're going to get started on your power wash and you have a lot to do. So before high school and even in 9th grade, I wasn't technically allowed to have Snapchat. And so one time I had my friend like make me an account. I don't even remember how this all happened, but when my mom found out, she went in and deleted the account. Like I don't even know how she did it, but she acted like she did it. So it was kind of like the universe was punishing me, but it wasn't. It was actually her that deleted the account. I think the best one that my mom ever pulled off that I now find funny is when I would sneak out or I'd be at a party or something. She wouldn't say anything to me, but she would just be there to pick me up, and she'd be there and be like, come outside. And I like didn't even know that she knew where I was. That was always funny. Embarrassing at the time. Funny now. Like for a part 2 because goodness knows I have more of these.
I get a text about, hey, we need to talk. Thing 2 is, Get ready with me while I say a story time on a fucking weird lesbian. This is no hate, I'm just telling my side of the story. This has been long overdue. Participants in the story is me, thing 1, thing 2, and Chloe. I will add Chloe because she also had to go through this. And if you want to see her story time, she posted like 3 and proof. Okay, so thing 1 and me met on TikTok. And we didn't talk for a while, but eventually we got each other's snap. And I started talking to a different person the day that I got her snap. So apparently, thing 1 unadded me because we lost a streak and she thought that I unadded her or blocked her. So I was talking to a different person and low-key she's kind of famous, so I wasn't really worried about thing 1. Well, this person that I was talking to called me a bitch and we were in a talking stage and I really didn't fuck with that. Anyway, so after this person and me that were talking, when we just stopped talking, me and thing 1 start talking. We call and I won't lie. Thing 1 did say that it was going very quick, and it was going very quick. We were talking for 2 weeks out, and we started talking again right before her birthday, like 2 days before her birthday. And her birthday is February. So anyways, me and thing 1 are on the phone like quite a bit. We're not on the phone all day, every day. We did sleep on the phone 3 times total. Out of every time that we fucking called, we at least called once a day. Anyways, I'm just gonna put this in here that everything that I did, I only reciprocated what she did first. Anyways, thing 1 was following Chloe because Chloe had lost her cat to her mom or whatever. There's a whole thing on that. And thing 1 had a bunch of pregnant cats that she was like, hey, I'll give you one of the kittens when they're born. And she was like, okay. Chloe and thing 2 were dating. From online, it seems like a really cute relationship, but there was a lot going on behind the scenes. Thing 1 told me that they only followed Chloe and thing 2 because that they were cute and their couple pictures are so cute and she was just a supportive outsider looking in. So thing 2 posts on their story and thing 1 obviously sees. Thing 2 posts, I need friends, I'm so lonely. So thing 1 slides up and says, I'll be your friend. And so they start talking. Mind you, this whole time, every single time that they are talking, me and thing 1 are on the phone and she's always screen sharing. Start off just like, talking, getting to know each other, whatever. But I'm immediately feeling like this off vibe with thing 2. But I do see something while she's screen sharing. I see thing 2 send thing 1 a video like, I'm so proud of you, twin. Don't ever. So they were only talking for a few days and it just caught me off guard. I'm like, and even thing 1, I was like, what the heck? Thing 1 was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. So I'm going to expose you, bitch, because you want to act like. She was like, yeah, that's weird. Like, yeah, that's weird. Like, we don't even know each other like that. Like, I just met you. And she's saying this shit. Like, basically saying that this motherfucker's weird. Anyway, so a few days go past, and they've deadass only been talking for, like, max fucking 5 days. Turns out thing 1 and thing 2 lived 30 minutes away from each other, while me and thing 1 lived a whole state away. Oh, let's not forget that thing 1 said that she would fly out to me.
Okay. And you said I was taking it too fast. Okay.
Anyway, so I tell thing 1 that I have a weird vibe about thing 2. Because come to find out that day that I said that, thing 2 and Chloe broke up. And I'm like, I really have a feeling that thing 2 has feelings for my thing 1. Future me, I just want to add this in. I expressed my concerns about thing 2 liking thing 1. Thing 1 went to thing 2's profile and went to a video of thing 2 thirst trapping and goes, I would not date that. I would not date that. So like, so I tell thing 1 about this because communication. And thing 1 is like, oh, well, do you want to meet thing 2? Like, we can all call in a group chat. This is their first time fucking calling. They called one time before me, thing 1, and thing 2 called in a group chat. So, thing 2 is cool, right? Okay, whatever. I'm like, oh, I am tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I went to bed. I wake up. I get a text, like, on Snap about, hey, we need to talk. Bitch, what? So I'm, like, freaking out, because waking up to that's kind of fucking scary. And I'm texting thing 1 on everything, saying, and she's active on fucking everything. Active on everything. Isn't answering me for while. And then I'm like, hey, good morning. I'm like, thing one, you're scaring me because she's typing for a while. Anyway, so I'm going to read this, but I'm also going to put the screenshot here. So thing one said, so I think it would be better if we stopped talking. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I do like thing two, and I don't really think we have worked out in a relationship. Anyway, we are way too alike. It's like dating myself in a different font. I'm really sorry to frighten you. So I'm like, can we call? Because I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? I obviously have this gut-wrenching feeling. Because, like, what is going on? Like, that this was just out of nowhere. We were doing good. I just want to preface that we were not dating. We were in a talking stage. Anyway, so she's like, yeah, she calls me, and she's laying in thing two's fucking bed with a bra on. I'm not gonna expose this bitch too much, but let's just say that she uses as a coping skill, and she only does it with guys because with girls, it's more of an emotional connection, and she doesn't want to get attached. I'm not trying to air out your dirty laundry because you're fucking doing that shit yourself. Immediately, did y'all? She's like, no. Okay. So that day, I just decided to get off my phone, take a break, and just focus on myself. So, day passes, night comes, and I see a fucking story from yours truly, thing one. I see a story with thing one and thing two. Thing one is bottom. Am I using these terms right? Thing two is top. Schwab? I don't know. And thing two is right. I'm like, oh, so you want to talk about mothers? Like, and my little nosy self went to the fucking page of both of them bitches and saw, I love my girlfriend. So they just, the morning, she ended the talking stage with me. That night, they're together in each other's bed, probably, and saying, I love you. What? You cannot tell me that this is okay. But anyways, if y'all want every single screenshot known to man, let me know. Bye. Thank you for watching. If you watched this to the end, comment a blue heart.
This is so messy because why would I run into a man that I dated when I was 21 on the last day of my 20s? I'm turning 30 tomorrow, and I was actually thinking about this relationship a couple days ago. Okay, wait, let's do a little story time. Mini story time. When I was 21, I dated this man, and he was 4 years older than me at the time. So he was, 25? Not a big deal. But we were on and off because I couldn't commit. It was fully on me because of the sole fact that he wanted multiple kids. Like, he's like, I want 3+ kids. Like, he had a lot of siblings. I, on the other hand, was a teen mom. I'm about to have a son that's going to turn 13, and I was very firm on the fact that I'm one and done. So basically for 2 years, we're fucking around, on and off, and I feel like we could never fully love each other because we knew that it wasn't going to work. He ended up moving to California. Cool. That was literally 8 years ago. Today I go to a gas station that I always go to, and I go inside and I get some snacks that my son asked me for to take to school tomorrow. And I'm looking at the candy aisle, and I hear someone say my name, and it's a man's voice, and I turn around immediately and it's him. And I'm literally I literally was like, where am I right now? And so he's like, holy shit, I didn't know you were still in Colorado. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've never left. I still live here. I'm still in the same area. And immediately, he's just asking me questions about myself, and immediately asks me if I'm dating. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, I pretty much have just been focusing on raising my son. I never want to bring a man around him, which is still true to this day. I've never brought a man around my son just because I feel like it's completely unnecessary. And he's like, oh, well, I'm back in town. And I ask him, I'm like, do you have kids? And he says, I have 5 kids. And I said, 5? And he said, yeah, I have 3 daughters and 2 sons. And I actually think my jaw touched my fucking shoes. And then he says, they're all from different moms. And I was just kind of like, huh, I never pictured you to be that type of man. I don't know, to me, I don't know. I don't know what he seemed like to me because, again, I haven't known this man for 8 years, like 8 years. I don't know anything about him anymore. And I was just like, huh. I was like, are you happy? And he just kind of looks at me and he's like, no. And I'm like, wow, like, that's really sad. And then I left, and I'm literally sitting here in my car, and the only thing I can think to myself is, I'm so fucking happy I did not have children with this man. And I'm so fucking proud of 22, 21-year-old me for holding my ground and not giving in, because what would be my life right now? And I actually busted out laughing once I got into my car, and I'm like looking out at the universe. I'm like, you're actually hilarious. Okay, wait, but I know the girlies will get me. I'm also so like, I have secondhand embarrassment for myself because when this breakup happened, I was ready to end it all. Like, I wasn't eating. I was so skinny back then, low-key. I wanted to like end my life. I was in a depression that I cannot even, I remember it triggered me having cystic acne because my hormones were so fucked up. Like, a girl was fighting for her life. And the fact that now, like, I just see him and I feel nothing, like, I always wondered, like, oh my God, I wonder if I ever like ran into him, like what would happen, or like, you know what I mean? And the fact that I just saw him at the gas station and he told me his like sad life story, and I'm like, okay, bye. Like, that's crazy.
All right, odds I post this. If this is up, I'll be surprised. But I have to leave for a date in 9 minutes. My makeup earlier today. I don't think I'm gonna do foundation. I'm just running over my face with the whatever is left on the foundation brush. And mind you, I did my makeup like 2 hours ago, but my daily makeup that's like just concealer, no foundation. Like, just because I don't want to go on the date doesn't mean I shouldn't put in any effort, okay? You'd be wondering, Emily, if you don't want to go on this date, why are you going on the date? Well, because I don't know why, honestly. Because I could have canceled, but the reasoning wasn't good enough. I just don't want to. It's not that he's not a sweet guy. It's not that like I don't know who he is. It's not that I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I think I'm just tired of dating right now. I don't know if anybody can relate to that or knows what I mean by that. Like, oh, you want to find love, but you're tired of dating. Yeah, this is a first date. Like, we've met, we've like hung out a couple of times, but we've never been on a date. Never hung out outside of a like going out type of vibe. So I don't know what that's going to be like. In my mind, I think that he's going to be a good conversationalist. I pray. Listen, I have no idea. I'm tired of like having good dates, what I think are good dates, but they're only good dates because I know how to lead a conversation. And I feel like women across the world can relate to that. I am risking it all by trying to do top eyeliner right now. Do I even? Yeah, it's going to make me feel confident. Anyway, when I become self-aware of the fact that I'm leading the conversation, I then immediately get in my head and I'm like, would this date even be going well? Probably not. But then I refuse to sit in silence. And so it's like, do I pull back from asking questions? Maybe I give it a shot and then we sit in silence and then I want to rip my hair out. But I hate when they like don't ask questions. I'm like, well, okay, here we go. Like, let's do a deep dive on, you know, your dynamic with your mother. At this point, if you're not going to ask me a question, I'm going to go there. I think he has a good energy. I think. We've never hung out one-on-one, so I don't know. I have to leave in 5 minutes. Oh my God. It should be nice though. Like, I don't even know why I'm so down in the dumps about it because it's literally 80 degrees outside. We're probably going to sit on the rooftop. I get to hang out with somebody who wants to hang out with me. It'd be a good time. Okay, I just checked how long it would take me to get there. I shouldn't be pushing it because I'm sure parking in that area is going to take so long. Just so burnt out from dating, y'all. But what I'm trying to tell myself is like, dating is good in terms of like figuring out what you do like, what you don't like. Also just like meeting new people. I've typically never walked away from a date being like, that was horrible as I was making it up in my head. It's never that bad. It's more of like the lead up to it. Plus the place we're going is definitely going to be a good spot to people watch. So there's bright side to all of it. I'm just being dramatic as heck. I know I'm going to be a good time once I get there, but I'm going to have to do some heavy hyping up. You know what the reframing I did was like, say that we were going to this exact same place, but we were going in a group and I knew he was going to be there with his group of friends. I would be like, wait, I'm so excited because we're going to do a little drinking. I know that this cute guy is going to be there. So like, I would be really excited to know that I was going to have somebody to flirt with and like smooch. So I'm like, why am I not excited when it's just one-on-one? Pressure's on, that's why. I can't just like do-do-do when I'm alone. I'm still gonna do-do-do. Okay, I will update y'all in the next clip. So not only was he 40 minutes late, but he also made me feel like a bimbo, and I had to get up and walk out. So maybe next time when I'm feeling that strongly about not going on a date, maybe I just don't go. To let you know why this was the worst date I've ever been on. It's like everything I said in that video was a jinx on this date. So let's start out with the whole being late thing. The plan was to meet at 7. He texted me at like 6:40. Mind you, I live like 40 minutes away in traffic, and so I was like 10 minutes on the way. My arrival time was 7:01, and he texted me, hey, like, I'm just now getting out. Is it okay if we push to 7:15, 7:30? I was like, yeah, exclamation point. Like, what am I gonna say? No. He texted me around 7 maybe and was like, it's gonna have to be 7:30. I think I just thumbs it up maybe. And then at 7:31, he texted me ETA 7:40. So that's why I said 40 minutes late. Like, yes, he was in communication, but for the love of God. Also, he did tell me that he did eat beforehand, and I'm like, you better have been chowing down while putting your pants on, because what do you mean you ate before this? I mean, I did too, because I knew we were only going for drinks, but you didn't have time to. You should have starved. Anyway, I'm kidding. A little. This is now 40 minutes after I'm thinking we're gonna meet, but it's okay. Let's have a good date. So we go up to the rooftop, we sit down, we're chatting. There were a few things that he said that in my head I was like, whoa, like that's really intense. Like, for example, I was saying I'm not Catholic, but I was raised Catholic and my family is still very Catholic. And he was like, oh yeah, Catholic, those kooks, like, they're crazy. And he basically went into a whole thesis as to why he thinks Catholics are absolutely insane. And mind you, I said I'm not Catholic because I have my reasons for not being Catholic, because I also don't agree with the many things of Catholicism. However, my family is Catholic. I still have respect for Catholics. I'm not just gonna shit on them, especially if you were gonna tell me your family is a certain religion. And after he did his whole spiel, he was like, hey, but no judgment. And I was like, oh, but like you kind of did. He's like, no judgment. And I'm like, okay, well, moving right along. We brought up what we're like when we're getting into a relationship. You pursue, are you like a slow burn, that type of stuff. He was like, yeah, I mean, we hang out more, we go on more dates, but in the type of line of work that I do, which is sales for him, he was basically saying it's really easy to carry a conversation. It's really easy for things to seem like they go well, but sometimes like on his end, it's like he could get to a point where he's like, I don't really feel it, but maybe on the other person's end, they think that everything went well, but it's really just because he's good at like creating a good environment, fostering a good environment. He's good at carrying conversations on his end. In my other video, I literally explained that exact thing, right? I'm like, it's very easy for me to lead a conversation. So on your end, it may seem like it went well, but it's because I led that whole conversation. So I was here to relate. I was about to say, like, I literally feel the same way. That's why I feel like dates go well for me, because, and he cuts me off and he looks at my chest and he was like, I bet they do. I bet they do with a low cut shirt like that. I bet they do. I bet they're just like, yeah, whatever you say, as he's looking at my boobs. What? It's really hard to leave me speechless. Like, again, I'm not one for silence. Imagine my discomfort when he says that. And he thinks like he hit a home run with his joke. Like, he thinks it was the funniest thing ever. I mean, he won't stop cackling. What felt like 5 minutes was probably only 30 seconds. But I froze. Didn't know what to do. Laughed out of discomfort. Not like laughed. I like giggled a little bit, kind of looked to the side, and I was like, oh, like, what the fuck? Why would you say that out loud? Why would you say that out loud? Have you seen boobs before? Didn't seem like it. Well, anyway, I really did have to pee. I had been holding my pee for like 30 minutes. So I just found it a great time. I was like, I'll be right back. I need to go to the restroom. And he's like, do you really? And I was like, yeah. So I get up, go to the restroom, collect myself. I'm like, what the F just happened? I literally texted my friend, I'm never seeing this man again. And she was like, oh my God, like, what's happening? Go to the restroom, collect myself. I'm just like, I'm never going to see this man again. Go finish out the date. Don't even address what just happened. We're moving on. It's like not worth it to me. Like, for a first date, it's not worth it. Get into it with somebody, go back and forth that I know I'm never going to see again. So I get back. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, I really had to go to the restroom. We had a little heater by us. So I was like, thank God we had this heater here. And he was like, are you mad at me? I was like, no, I'm not mad. Because I wasn't mad. I knew deep down There was no malintent behind it. However, it was so uncomfortable to me. It made me so uncomfortable. And he was like, well, no, I think you're mad. And I was like, well, okay, if you are wanting to actually dive into this. I was like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just like turned off. And he was like, turned off. And I was like, well, yeah, like that was really odd to say. Like, why would you say that? He was like, I was making a joke. You guys, made me feel so insane for thinking that was so uncomfy and so odd. Like, he thought I had the worst sense of humor. He then tried to draw a parallel between men being objectified for their big biceps and their height to women being objectified for their breasts. That's when I knew there was no hope. I go, have I objectified you for your big biceps tonight? Well, no, I don't have any big biceps. Okay. But I get objectified for my height all the time. Have I objectified you for your height, though? No. Okay. It also wasn't the first time that he made me feel like I was anything worth paying attention to only because of my looks. Because I told him, I was like, last weekend I got a little bit more drunk than I intended to. As like the people behind us bought a table and then they tapped our shoulders and then were like, hey, you can come like join our table, blah, blah, blah. Which was like, I was like, it was the best, like right place, right time. And he was like, well, they wanted to hit. Okay, really aggressive. Like, he was like, well, no, yeah, like they wanted to hit. Like, don't be naive. They wanted to hit. They wanted to hit. And I'm like, even if that is true, keep that in your brain. What crack are you on? The thing about it is it's your first date. Like, that's when you're supposed to be putting the best foot forward. And so now, flash forward to when he's talking about my boobs. Like, this is our first date. I think it's really odd for you to be bringing that up. He was like, but we've met before. I was like, we've said basically a total of 7 sentences to each other. Be so for real. This is your best foot? Then this is what pissed me off, right? It's so uncomfortable that I'm over here, like, begging myself to not apologize, right? I'm like, no, he's the one who made you uncomfortable. Don't be like, sorry for making this awkward. No. Waiter's not coming. I'm like, I want to close out so badly. So I told him, I was like, I think you can go up to the bar to close out. So, like, you know. And he was like, yeah, I can close out. You can go. And I was like, well, I don't want to leave you. He was like, trust me. I'm trying to get out of this as fast as possible. You? I was like, geez. Okay, well, anyway. Thank you for a good night. And he was like, not really. I was like, okay, you know what? Have a good night. I'm out. Got up, left, walked away. And then he had the gall to text me the next day, like, hey, sorry for, like, unintentionally making you uncomfortable. I don't think we're a good match. No shit, Sherlock. I got up and I left. All that went without saying. I'm sure there was a lot more that happened, but that's the gist of it.
Hi guys, I'm a hostess at Texas Roadhouse, and these are things that I have experienced or my coworkers have told me that they've experienced while I was working with them. For preface, those of you who don't know, at Roadhouse, we do not see incomplete parties. It's just a company policy. I don't make the rules. I follow them. Thank you. Anyways, so this woman came in. I do remember her name. I won't say it, but... Anyways, she came in. She was a party of 4. Only 2 of them were there. I asked her, hey, ma'am, like, where's the rest of your party? Like, are they here? And she was like, no, they're down the street. And I was like, okay. Immediately, like, her tone shifted. I was like, great. She's going to be a problem. So I tell her, I was like, okay, no problem. Just hang out in the front room for me. Let me know when everyone's here. It should only be like 5 minutes if they're down the street, right? Wrong. Anyways, she's like, okay, so we can't get a table and enjoy a drink and relax. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, it is against company policy to see parties incomplete. Mind you, there's a sign behind me that says that. So it's not like I'm just making it up off the dome. Like, no, it's literally a company policy. She rolls her eyes and walks away. 20 minutes later, some other woman for that party, she's like, hi, I'm supposed to let you know that we're all here. And I was like, okay, perfect. I like you. You're nice. I was like, bring everyone up and I'll get you guys sat. 3 people walk up. I was like, hi guys, I'm so sorry. Where's that last person? The lady, whose name is from the song, right? She was like, oh my God, they're in the bathroom. Jeez Louise. Can you seat us? Right away, man. Right away. Sure. I was like, I don't like you. Get the fuck out of my face. I was like, you can follow so-and-so on back. I put her at a table because that's the pettiest I could be. They didn't specifically ask for a booth anyway, so it was like, whatever. I didn't do anything wrong. I just sat her at a table. God. About 20, 30 minutes later, one of my managers comes up to me. She's like, hey, girl. I was like, oh, no. Laid on me. I was like, what is it? And she was like, you got a complaint. And I was like, let me guess. It's from this table. And she was like, yeah. So what happened with them earlier? And I told him, I was like, she just came in incomplete. I told her to hang out in the front room, and she wasn't very happy about it. And then whenever they were all here, I only saw 3 out of the 4, so I asked where that last person was, and she got mad because they were in the bathroom, and I was just supposed to know that. And she was like, okay, yeah, no, the server told me that they wanted to speak to a manager. I went over there and I talked to them, and the older woman basically called you an evil bitch. Cool. Okay, yeah. I was like, cool. What did you say? And she told them, she was like, well, we've never really had a problem with her. She's actually one of our best people to be up at the front, because I'm really good with people. I'm very respectful. Yeah. And the older woman was basically just kind of like, well, she's an evil bitch, and I can assure you she's done it before. Cool. Okay. Mind you, this manager in specific is our owner's wife. And the owner was there that day, and he came up and he was like, hey, I heard about the complaint. And I was like, I was just doing my job, I swear. And he was like, oh no, yeah, no, you're good. Like, if you're an evil bitch, you're the best one we got. I was like, thank you. Anyways, whenever they left, I was just like, have a great day. And the older woman wouldn't even look at me. Weeks later, she came back in, and I was once again at the front, and I immediately recognized her, and I know damn well she recognized me too, because she wouldn't look me in the eyes. She wouldn't do it. And once again, when she left, I was like, have a great day. And once again, she didn't look at me, didn't say anything, just walked on out. I was like, bye. Bye-bye. Get out. There is this one other couple that has come in a few times, and it's not like I know like them by name or specifically. I just recognize them because of the instance that has happened. Like, I'll seat them, like, they won't ask for anything in specific, so, like, I'll seat them, and then my seater will come back and be like, they want a female server, like, husband and wife, like, the wife requests a female server. The first time this happened, I was like, okay, no problem, like, I totally get it. Some people are just more comfortable with a female server. No problem. I transferred the table, and they got a female server. The second time they came in, that I remember, this was more recently, it was, like, a Friday or Saturday night. So, we are busy, right? Right. And so we're very limited on tables and servers at the moment. It's like whatever gets up first is kind of the table you're going at, unless you specifically request a server or a booth or a specific table, like in the bar area, whatever. I print their ticket. I didn't realize that this was them at that point in time. And I'm very stressed right now because everything that could be going wrong on a Friday or Saturday night, large party-wise, table-wise, lots of problems. It's just like that I can't control. So I'm already stressed as it is because I'm just like trying to figure things out and accommodate a bunch of different parties at once. And my seater comes out, I'm like, hey, this party wants a female server. So I look at the ticket, I look at the party, like where their on deck is, and I was like, oh, okay, I recognize them. I looked at the floor, and I was like, okay, we don't have any female servers available at the moment. The soonest one getting up is probably going to be another like 15, 20 minutes. So my seater goes back and tells them, like, hey guys, as of right now, we just don't have any female servers open. It's probably going to be about another 15, 20 minutes. They got mad. They were like, why can't you just accommodate us? Can't you open something up? Mind you, Friday or Saturday night, we have a full floor. There's not an extra table to open up. Otherwise, I'm sure the managers would just be like, do it. But we don't have the floor space for that. So they get really mad, and then they storm out. And I was like, sorry guys, have a great night. Like, I can't control that. If you guys want a female server, request that when you come up to the host stand specifically so we can plan for that. There was this one older dude who came in with his wife. He did ask for a booth, and like 9.9999 times out of 10, like basically every single time that someone asks for a booth, if I ask them if all we have is a half booth, half table, and I ask them like, is a half booth, half table okay? They're like, yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much. Great. So he's like, can we get a booth? I was like, sure, hang out right there. I'll get you sat in just a moment. I get them sat at a half booth, half table. I didn't ask them, which I could have done, but it was like, I wasn't really thinking, and I had other people to help. So I sat them at a half booth, half table. My seater comes back up, and she tells me, she goes, yeah, that dude, he was just so rude. Like, I brought them to the table, and he took one look at it, and he was like, nope, I'm not going to sit there because I have a real paying job. We want a full booth. So, sir, do you think we're just here for fun? Like, okay. At the time, like, we were, like, busy, but, like, not super busy, so we had open tables, so my manager was like, I'm not dealing with this, just open up a table and give it as a pickup. So we just did that. But absolutely not. Like, no. There was this one point in time, so my sister works with me now, and it's like, we're not twins, right? Like, I'm 2 years older than her. We have similar features, but, like, she's got dark hair, blue-green eyes,
tan skin. Like, I'm white. She's got tan, like, dark-ass skin, right? So it's like, you can clearly, and I have blonde hair, right? So you can clearly tell the difference between the two of us. I step out for like 2 seconds to go do something, and I'm like, hey, Kenzie, my sister, can you cover the front for me for like 2 minutes? She's like, yeah, I got you. So she's just on decking people, and I come back up. She just finished placing this one guy on deck. In the on deck area is like our green sides sign. Sorry. And it's right in front of the host stand. So I was like, okay. I was like, I saw him. I was like, it says it's a party of 4, but I only see 2. I was like, hi, sir. Like, I'm just confirming, like, all 4 of you guys are here. And he was like, yeah, they're right there. And I was like, okay, perfect. I'm marking it on my screen, and I'm getting ready to seat them. And he's like, I just told you that. And I was like, no, sir. Like, I just came back up. He's like, no, I told you. I just spoke to you. No, sir, like, I was trying to explain, like, I just came back up to here, and I was gonna say, like, my sister was covering me for a second. It was probably her that you spoke to. I couldn't even say that. He was like, because no, I just spoke to you. And even my sister right next to me, she was like, it was me. And he's like, no, I spoke to you. Whatever you say. So I sat them. And guess what? He was incomplete. Yeah. I mean, like, he was only incomplete for like 2 minutes. Like, I sat him, like, 2 minutes later, they came up and sat with him. But I was like, still, all that attitude for what? Okay, I just thought of one more. Basically, I had come in for the night shift on either a Friday or Saturday. It was like, I clock in at 2:15 because we switch over at 2:45. So I come in at 2:15, a walk-up of 8 comes in. And I'm like, okay, they're all in church clothes, or what look like church clothes. I assume to be church clothes. I'm like, okay, are all 8 of you guys here? Like, we have a table. I just need to get it set up, and I just need all 8 of you guys here. And they were like, well, the last couple are coming. And I was like, okay, just hang out. Let me know when they're here. I'll get you guys sat. And they're like, oh, okay. They walk away, and then dad comes back up. He's like, I'm sorry. Like, is there, like, what's the problem here? Like, why can't we be sat? And he's not, like, super, like, he's not passive aggressive. Like, he's just, like, wondering. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So, like, it's just against our company policy to seat incomplete parties. Running out of time. And he was just like, oh, okay, whatever, and walked back. And then one of the other ladies who was standing on deck with him, she was like, well, we're just coming from a funeral. So it's like, we all look pretty happy for just coming from a funeral. Obviously, I didn't say that, but I'm like, I still need all 8 of you here. And then once all 8 of them there, obviously I got them sat. Anyways, that's kind of all I really have time for at the moment. So if y'all want a part 2, let me know.
I just got back from a 3rd date. I will not be seeing this man again. And you might be wondering why. If it's a 3rd date, it must be going well, right? No, he didn't listen to me. I told him I don't like ice skating. I don't do ice skating. Again, 3rd date, he already knows that I have like a vertigo condition. I can't ice skate because going in circles, not really good for the vertigo. And he knows all this. Also, he's a doctor. So he gets it. Okay. And I told him, hey, I don't want to go ice skating. And he was like, oh, but it's like my favorite thing to do. And I was like, I think that's amazing. I love that you love ice skating. I love that you played hockey growing up, whatever. But I was like, but like, I'm going to get dizzy. I can't really go ice skating. Like, can we do anything else? And he was like, yeah, you know what? We can just go to the same place. Like, let's just meet there. They have a bunch of other activities and like, we can do something else. I was like, amazing. Great. So we get there and I'm thinking we'll do something else. Maybe like the mini golf or like the batting cages, whatever. There's a bunch of shit to do. And no, I get there. And he goes, so don't hate me. And I was like, what? He's like, I did reserve us for 2 hours on the ice. I was like, us or you? He's like, us. Like, I'm going to teach you how to ice skate. And I was like, I don't like ice skating. I'm going to get dizzy. And he's like, no. I'll be there with you the whole time. And I was like, you know what? I'm a team player. I like this guy. I'm a team player. Fine. Let's go ice skating. I put on the ice skates. I get on the ice. He gets on the ice. I don't see him again. He's doing circles. He's going round and round and round and round. I am hugging the wall, hugging it, crawling my way around the circle. Where is he? Nobody knows. He's not teaching me. I can tell you that much. He's not teaching me. He's just having fun, dancing around everybody on the ice. So finally he finds me against the wall, hugging it after God knows how many circles. And he goes, how are you doing? And I was like, hey, not great. I'm not doing great. I'm not having fun. And he was like, I'm having so much fun. I was like, well, I'm not. He's like, how many times have you gone around? And I was like, none. I'm still halfway there. I haven't even made it to the circle yet. He's like, oh, well, let me do one more lap and then I'll come help you. And I was like, sure, go ahead. Have fun. I hope he's having the best day of his life. He's going round and round. He, again, does not come back. He does not come back. He's still doing his circles. He's doing his little tricks. He's put on a full show for everyone on the ice as I'm hugging the wall, trying to not die. I get to the exit. I make it around the circle. He sees me at the exit. He skates over. He goes, hey, how's it going? How'd you do? And I was like, I'm leaving. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm going home. I'm done. He's like, no, we have 2 hours on the ice. I was like, I don't care. He goes, I was just about to teach you. I don't care. I'm going home. And I will never speak to him again because what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
So I thought that if I got off Hinge and met guys in the wild, I would meet some great people, and that is not what has happened. So let me tell you. So I got set up by some family friends with this guy, and we talked for a couple weeks, and he was on vacation, came back, had surgery, so we couldn't hang out right away. So we kept our conversation pretty casual, but he was a really in-depth conversationalist, so we would send like large paragraphs to each other and getting to know each other and all that fun stuff. And then so we finally decided to meet 2 weeks later, and we decided to go to a brewery, which was great. It was fine. So we get to the brewery, and you know, you're meeting someone you've been talking with for 2 weeks, and it was great. Like, we hung out for 4 hours, and we talked about, I barely talked, but anyway, about life and the stuff we were talking about earlier, whatever. And yeah, so it was fine. It was great. He was cute. It was just a casual thing. And then the date ends and we leave, and I like send a follow-up text saying it was great to meet you, love to hang out again, you know, thinking we're just getting to know each other at this point. He goes, yeah, I'd love to see you again. I had a lot of fun. And then he goes, so what's your end game while we're on this topic? And I'm like, this is, when they ask that, you know, whatever you say, they're gonna say the opposite. And that's exactly what happened. So I tried to keep it vague, ambiguous. And so I said something along the lines of, I'm looking for something consistent and intentional. And this man's response literally is, yeah, well, I'm not really in that same mindset right now, so it's probably not gonna work. And this isn't verbatim what he said, but over the course of probably 10 texts in a day and a half of us talking about this, that's the gist. Just letting you know. So, and then he goes, mind you, this man is 30 years old. He bought a house, and he's been living in a pretty small town for a couple of years now. He asked me, oh, how did you come to this conclusion about what do you want in your life? And I'm like, that I want something consistent and intentional? Okay. I don't know. I don't know how to tell you this. I'm like, what do you want me to say? So I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, and then he starts talking about his previous relationship. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Thank you. So as I'm doing my pro bono hours for being a therapist for this man, we just talked about why he feels this way and why he can't come to the conclusion of what he wants in life. Sorry, that's my cat. And yeah, and so basically that's where it ended. And, you know, I'm just trying to wrap things up. So I'm just kind of like, you know, if anything changes for you, let me know, you know, because I liked him. It was great. We had a lot of things in common, but clearly the mindset, the wavelength was missing each other. forbid. And so I'm like, okay. Yeah, so if things change for you in the future, you know, just let me know. And I'm like, if you want something casual, cool with it. And he goes, well, you're going to think this is really crazy. And I'm just like, oh, shoot it. Let me see. Let me hear it. Because I'm already about a day and a half deep as your fucking therapist. But go ahead. And he hits me along the lines of something like, well, there's nothing sexual being brought up right away. Like, I kind of just view girls as friends. But vice versa, if the sexual stuff gets brought up right away, then that's the only thing I can view her as. And I was like, wow, you're really at an impasse here, aren't you? So I was like, okay, all right, sounds good to me. Like, nothing I can do at this point. I was like, okay, all right. Reading you loud and clear. And I just thought it was so funny how we go to, yeah, let's hang out again, to, actually, I don't really know what I want. It's like, okay, all right, you can commit to a 30-year mortgage, but I guess you just can't really figure anything else out. So, okay, sounds good. But yeah, dating in the wild isn't any better than Hinge. Like, either the Hinge dates like to say racial slurs, or in person just are looking for free therapists at this point.
So I legitimately think that I might have had the worst possible first date experience this past weekend. And I just, like, it's quite a comical story. So I'll start and say a baddie has been out of commission for about a month and a half. I just had knee surgery about 3 weeks ago. So just starting to get my life like back in order over the past week or two. And so that's important to the story because I get to the place that he suggested. I had Ubered there and I didn't bring my crutch because I was just going to be walking in, sitting down, and that was going to be it. But I get there and this place is closed. It's completely closed. Like it's not there. So I then like turn around, walk out. And as I walk out, he's like walking up. So I told him, I was like, this place is closed. Like, let's think of a plan B. So I tell him a couple different places in the area. I'm like, do any of these sound like good, interesting to you? And so he was like, oh, this one looks good. Like it's walking distance. And it was like a 10-minute walk. Usually no big deal whatsoever. However, I am not exactly in walking shape, right now. So I was like, would you potentially be able to go grab your car and just drop me off there? Like, I know it's a little inconvenient, but like that's just kind of a long walk for me. And he was like, I already paid for parking. Right. Obviously. Sorry, I did not think about that. And I probably should have pushed back more. Whatever. I hobbled over. That's fine. I was annoyed, but it's okay. So we get there, sit down. He goes and gets the drinks. He comes back. We start talking, learning a little bit about him. And we start like connecting on goals and whatnot. And he tells me he's going to law school. Oh my gosh, cool. That's awesome. Good for you. When do you start? He starts in June. Dude, that's awesome. Way to go. Good for you. Come to find out, law school's in Nebraska. So he's moving to Nebraska in 2 months. Oh, okay. Like, I was a little taken aback. That's a little, it's just like a big piece of information, but okay, we'll keep rolling along. He then like pulls out a Zin. And so I was like, oh, it's dinner time. And he said, oh, is that a deal breaker? And I was like, no, like, that's fine. He said, yeah, I'm trying to stop chewing. And so I said, oh, that's awesome. Like, you're really probably like you're minimizing your risk of cancer in the future. And then he then stops and he looks at me and he goes, no, like dip's not, there is no association between dip and cancer. And listen, so I'm finishing my 3rd year of med school. By no means do I claim to know everything about medicine. In fact, I probably don't know most of medicine, and I'm still actively learning a lot. But that being said, I feel very, very, very confident in the association between chewing tobacco and cancer. But anywho, he proceeds to talk at me for like 5 minutes, trying to convince me that there is no association. It was a winningless battle. We move on. So I start asking him about his profile, because his profile, he seemed like a really wholesome dude, really, really wholesome guy. And I said, you know, your profile really makes it seem that you're like looking for a relationship, like you're looking to meet someone. And he said, yes, I am. Cool. And I started asking, he had mentioned like some characteristics of a partner that he was interested in. And so I asked, I was like, oh, like, have you ever been in a long-term relationship? And he says, yes. He starts telling me about this relationship he had in college. I said, cool, you know, he told me a little bit about it, like just surface level, which is fine. And so then I asked like, oh, have you dated since then? And then he like looks at me and he like starts smiling and isn't talking. And I was like, why are you being so weird? And he then says, I don't want to talk about it. And like keep smiling. And I said, you know, listen, like usually I wouldn't push for this, but you're making it seem like you just got out of a relationship like last week. Like when was your last relationship? Last week. We matched on Sunday. They broke up on Friday. Cool. But he said it was okay because they were distance. They were distance, right? Like we don't talk. We don't talk that much. But okay. Okay. How long were you together? 3 years. 3 years. Cool. But he's like, no. Like it's not like that. Like we could never see each other. Like it was just not working. I said, listen, like I understand how difficult a long distance relationship is. Like it is hard work. So then I asked, I was like, well, when was the last time you saw her? February. He's like, don't worry about it. February. It's March 6th. You're telling me she was here for 2 weeks? In February? Oh, okay. Okay. And so now at this point, I'm just curious. So I was like, well, when was the last time you talked to her? This morning. Oh, okay. You know, cool. So I go to the bathroom and I just immediately, I start texting my best friend, start texting Jenna everything. I'm like, girl, you will not believe this. This is insane. And I also call my Uber. And so I get back and my Uber is like 12 minutes away. So I tell him, you know, my ride's on the way. I think I'm going to start wrapping it up for the evening. And he's like, I feel like you really don't like me. He's like, you're really in a rush to get out of here. And I was like, no, like, I think you're a fine person. I think knowing, like, I find it really hard to believe you can sit across the table from me and not compare everything I say to your girl, like your ex-girlfriend. That feels like impossible. And I also said, you're moving in 2 months and distance kind of is a deal breaker for me. So just like all of those things, I feel like I don't think a second date would really be beneficial for either of us. But and then then he was like, oh, but you're sure you don't want me to drive you home? So you can drive me now. What about your parking? Anywho, so I get home. He texted me when he got home. I liked the message, and he then texted me later and was like, yeah, like I would love to see you again. And so I sat with it. I didn't know what to respond. And then I just responded with like 3 links to 3 peer-reviewed articles with the association between smokeless tobacco and cancer. But I think I'm going to pause my dating profiles, at least for a little bit. So if nothing else, I hope this story provided some entertainment. Have a great week.
Every guy that I've dated or been with has been 2 to 3 years older than me. Let's talk about it. This is your sign to learn from some of the mistakes that I have made, and that dating older men honestly isn't the best option, in all honesty, okay? So this dates back to the summer of me being a 13-year-old girl going into freshman year of high school. And, you know, I'm at Target one day, okay? Run into my mom's friend and her son. And, you know, girlie's like, oh, who's that son of your friend? Who is that, okay? I found out, wait, I know him. Like, I could date him. Like, family, friends, like, Alright, add him on Snapchat. Literally searched this guy deep depths for his Snapchat because I had no mutuals with him, okay? Me and him chatted up a little bit, okay? You know, it wasn't super flirty. It was flirty on my end, but he was not super flirty, okay? And this guy was 2 years and 11 months older than me. Yeah. Actively driving while I was not gonna be able to drive for 2 years, okay? Anyway, so, you know, we chatted up the whole summer, you know. He then one day comes over for 4th of July, a little fun time with my friends, and then that night he's like, hey, Bear, I don't think this is a good idea. You're way younger than me. And I was like, fuck. You know, my Panther all, like, literally crying my fucking heart out. Not actually, I was not that upset, but I was upset because I was, like, so obsessed with this guy, okay? I was like, oh my god, it's like a movie, True Love. We met at Target, like, bitch. Alright, so that's called quits. That's called quits, okay? Then we get my later freshman year boyfriend, okay? He's not that much older than me. He's, like, I think close to 2 years older than me because my birthday's really late. So he was, like, almost 2 years older than me. Honestly, not too bad compared to the first one. But yeah, he's chill, very short relationship, yada, yada, yada. Bye-bye, adios, yeah. Alright, so then we get to a year ago, literally on the T a year ago. That little guy, that guy from freshman year, who's basically 3 years older than me. Oh yeah, he comes back in mama's life, okay? He comes right back in, okay? Keep in mind, like, I've had him on Snap this whole time. Like, we've been tight, like, it's not been, like, some, like, blocked and everything, okay? We start snapping, we start talking again. I ask him to go to this dance with me, and he's like, wait, like, I can't, like, I have college stuff. He's not in college, he's a senior in high school, okay? Like, he's not in college yet, guys. Anyway, so he takes me on a date. He takes me out on a date, okay, period. A little fun date. He's literally trying to make out with me as a movie date. I don't do it, which thank freaking God I didn't, okay? Alright, so he's asking questions on this date, and he's like, oh wait, like, do you have your license yet? I'm like, no, like, I got my permit late, like, I don't have it. I thought I was not trying to lie about this. I thought he was just, like, asking about my driving, and I was just talking about how, yeah, I have my permit, but, like, I got it kind of late, and he took that as that I was 16 and got my permit late, which means I couldn't get my license yet, and I was already 16, okay? So he thinks that I'm a year older than I am. I'm like, how do you not remember? You broke up or, like, cut things off 2 years ago for this reason. What are you talking about? Anyways, we hang out again, go on another little date. It wasn't really a date, it was go get Sonic, but like a date. and brings up the license thing again. And I'm this close to telling him, yeah, like, you realize I'm 15, but I was scared to do it in person. So what I do, text him that night, I'm like, hey, you know that I'm 15, right? And he was like, huh? And yeah. And once again, it repeats itself, and he's like, yeah, boo, you're too young. And I was like, yeah, this is illegal. Currently, no, it wasn't illegal, but, like, basically illegal. In a few months, illegal. Okay. Alright, have talking stages, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward to my most recent relationship. Oh, boy. You know, very odd way that this relationship started. I have been plotting on this guy since literally a year prior. I literally have a Snapchat memory of me being like, guys, there's this really hot guy that works at the store. I'm not gonna name where. Then he reaches out to me on Instagram. I did not know it was him. And ends up being the guy from the store. And I'm like, holy fuck, I've been plotting on you, okay? Yeah, fall in love, date. He's like my first everything, pretty much. That's too much. Which very sus because he's 18 and I'm 16. I'm 16. Again, 2 years. 2 years. I think 2.5. 2.5. Yeah. And yeah, that was that relationship. Ended about 2 months ago. Literally hit our 2 month breakup anniversary a few days ago, boo. Broke up with me 2 days after the new year. Anyways, and on all those relationships, I like to add, not good, not the best, because older men have so much issues. Like, these motherfuckers do not know what they're doing with their life, okay? Except for the one that was 3 years older than me. He was pretty locked in with his life. All the other ones, what the fuck are y'all doing? Okay, what the fuck? Anyways, I think all my exes are blocked on this account. I don't really know, but hey y'all, if you watch this, they didn't, but whatever. Anyways, yeah, do not date older guys. Do not. Don't. Anyways, love y'all.
Hey y'all, it is what it's like dating right now. Am I the asshole? Story time. So I have put the intention out there that I want to meet my husband in 2026, if possible. And I put my dating profile on my Christmas card. I've been going to singles mixers. We're trying this stuff. So me and my friend go to a singles mixer. Actually 2 in one night. There's many stories to tell, but here's the first. So we're chatting with people. The second mixer we're going to that night is ticketed. So we are like kind of watching the clock. And before we leave, she wants to talk to this guy who she finds attractive. So we go over to where he's standing and they start engaging in conversation. I'm talking to 2 women that are standing close by. Probably after about 10-15 minutes, I kind of turn towards their conversation because it's kind of getting time, like we need to wrap up and go to the other event. And so I enter into the conversation with them. He turns his full attention to me. He's engaging me in conversation. He's asking questions. Like, we're having a great time. I wasn't initially attracted, but I'm like growing more fond of his personality through this conversation. So we set out to leave. So she tells him goodbye and he shakes her hand. And then he steps around her and gives me a hug. So as we're walking off, she's like, man, you should, I guess he was more interested in you. Like, should you give him your number? And I'm like, no, it's weird. She initially was attracted to him. Like, I don't know what to do. And so we go to the bathroom and I have an epiphany in the bathroom, as you do, right? Like, we connected. We're at a singles mixer. That's the point. I would want her to do the same. Like, we're both out here trying to find our men folks. So, I leave the restroom. She's still in the restroom, so she doesn't know this is taking place. I walk by the bar, and it's like magic. There's a unrolled, like, unused receipt paper and a cup of pins, you guys. So I write my name and number on a piece of paper, I fold it up, and I'm heading to give it to him. He's now engaged with the conversation with another woman. So I literally brush off my little player ways and I slip the piece of paper in his back pocket and turn and walk off. I don't engage. So we head to the other event, we park, and I did like let my friend know, like in full disclosure, I did give him my number, you know. And so we just talked about, she was like, yeah, he hugged you, he didn't hug me, like he was asking you all these questions, he never asked me, like he seemed really engaged. So we go to the other event, the guy from the previous event is texting, hey, is this Tori? Yes, hey. And we're just kind of exchanging some pleasantries. When I am leaving the second event on the way home, he's texting, making plans for a date. And I'm like, yeah, cool, that sounds good. He's like, okay, I'll reach out with a plan soon. Great. Get home. Both events went well. They were fun. Like, we met people. It's a good night. I go to bed. I wake up the next day, and I receive a text from this gentleman. And he said, can I be honest? I was really interested in your friend, but I didn't get a chance to ask for her number. Can you give her mine? Sorry for not being upfront in the beginning. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh shoot, like I read it all wrong. Like, am I like completely out of dating? I'm like, what is happening? So I was like, oh my gosh, yes, she's gonna be thrilled. Like, I'll send it right now. Like, no harm, no foul. Like, she needs, get her man. That's awesome. But I'm just sitting here baffled. Like, did I read the signs wrong? Like, and now looking back, I'm like, was he really interested in her and he was treating me as her friend? And like, did he friend zone me like right then and there, like broing it up? Like, I don't know. So anyway, am I the asshole because they even gave him my number? But then when they get married, I may tell this story because they would not be connected right now if it wasn't for my boldness. Okay. So yeah, what do y'all think?
Just a quick little reminder for women. 1, lock your doors. And 2, block men on social media who may have formed like parasocial relationships with you. Let me explain. I know this is not a unique experience as a woman. We all have the men who have been like talking to themselves in our DMs. I'm sure a man has popped into your mind already. So let me tell my little story. I have a neighbor who I categorize as a nice person. We've lived in close proximity for about 3 years. Every now and then he'll respond to like a story I post on Instagram. Like I'll get little heart eyes or things like that. And not responding to a man is like an indirect form of rejection. Like if you do that so many times, I'm sure that will bother you. But this is my neighbor. Most of our interactions revolve around neighbor things, like things going on in the building. Can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? Like very neighborly. So that's the extent of our relationship. That's how it's been for 3 years. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago, he sends me a TikTok of like DC restaurants. When he sent me this, I said, why did you send me this? Because I was confused. And he was like, oh, you just popped up in my mind. Like you were the first person I thought of. I was like, oh, did you want to go check one out? And he was like, yeah. I'd like, okay, I'd be down. Let's go. And then he said, oh, you just want a free meal. Immediately no. I was like, oh, never mind. No, thank you. Like I just shut it down. And he was like, oh, I was just kidding. And I just didn't respond because at this point, not interested at all. So that's like 2 weeks ago. Fast forward to last week. I was coming home from my friend's birthday dinner and I saw him in the parking lot. And he's headed out and he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like we just had like a little neighborly like exchange. How are you? La, la, la. I go inside. The next day he texts me and he's like, what are you doing? It's like 3 p.m. I was like, just chilling. He was like, oh, we should kick it later. And I was like, okay. Like in my head, I'm not thinking anything nefarious. Like this is just my neighbor. Cool. 8 o'clock comes around, 8:30 maybe. And he's like, what are you doing? Again, I'm not really thinking about this like kicking it situation. I was like, oh, I'm chilling, just got off the phone with my mom. Like, I was really about to watch the State of the Union address. Like, that's what I was preparing for. And he was like, something about like being out right now, would I wait up for him? I didn't respond right away because my immediate thought was no, I will not do that. And then I told him, I was like, oh, I'm getting sleepy. And he was like, can I Uber you to where I am? I'm at a networking event. And I was like, oh, I already did my skincare. PJs are on, not leaving. And he was like, okay, well, then I'm coming through to your crib. So I said very assertively, I was like, you are not. And he was like, well, this is the second time you flaked on me. Me personally can't remember the first time, but okay. At this point, it was like 11:30, 12:30, which is late for me, but I was only up because I was watching the State of the Union, which was really long. And then I watched Abigail Spanberger's response, which was also quite long. So I stayed up later than I normally do. My last message I sent to him was like 12:30 a.m. I go to sleep. 2 a.m., I like wake up out of my sleep because I can hear somebody at my door, like jiggling my door handle and just like in the hallway. Mind you, we live on the same floor. Like he knows where I live. I know where he lives. Cool. Not cool. Not cool. But being woken up out of your sleep like that, that's the first time that's ever happened to me. I was scared. I was really scared. I reached for my phone. My first thought was, let me call my mom, which I don't know why, because my mom lives over an hour away and I don't know what I thought she was going to do, but that was my first thought. Let me call my mom. But my phone is in like sleep mode, so I'm not getting my notifications and texts like normal. When I picked up my phone, I saw that I had, at this point, maybe like 5 or 6 missed calls from my neighbor. And I had 2 text messages that said, I'm knocking on your door. I'm going to knock on your door. So now I have a little bit of peace of mind because I know who's at my door. I know it's not like a burglar. Like that was like my first thought. But now I'm like annoyed because like I already told you, like, no, I'm going to sleep. Another time, leave me alone. And I told you no several times. And then it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you are now at my door. My neighbor would continue to call me from 2:22 a.m. to 3:35 a.m. He called me 15 times in that time span. I wasn't able to go to sleep from like, I didn't go to sleep till like probably like 5 o'clock in the morning because I was just like on edge. I was really anxious. Finally go to sleep. The next day, I was like digesting all of this. How am I going to approach this situation? What am I going to say to my neighbor that made me extremely uncomfortable in my own home? And he texts me. He says, my bad, LOL. But that's the second time you faked on me. What? And that just wasn't enough for me. So I carry on about my day. I think I posted like my breakfast or something on Instagram. And then he responds to my Instagram story and says, text back the fuck. Men do not speak to me like that. So even like in a joking sense, like my friends, nothing. We don't carry on like that. So as soon as he said that shit, I got mad. Like saw red. All the grace I had been thinking to give him, like, oh, maybe he was drunk, you know, it's like 2 a.m. All that went out the window. And I just messaged him. I was like, I don't know where you got this sense of entitlement from to me and my time. And then I just swiftly blocked him across all platforms and blocked his number. And yeah, if you are directly or indirectly rejecting men, I think it's in everybody's best interest to remove them so they don't have access to you. And make sure your doors are locked.
Well, happy International Women's Day. But I wanted to thank every single woman, the women mainly, who took the time, express concern, give advice, give guidance. I appreciate it. Whether it was packaged nicely or, said a little more sternly, the message was definitely received. My goal with posting or sharing my story was to, help the next woman, hopefully. And hindsight is 2020, right? I'm 30, so this is not the first crazy man I've ever dealt with. And unfortunately, it won't be the last. And I've been nice. I've been mean. I've had the resting bitch face. I've done all those things. It's been strangers. It's been people I've perceived as friends. But the common thread is always the same. It's men are the issue. That's why we have sayings like, not all men are bad, but every woman has a story. And I'm thankful that mine was like this. We have not run into each other at all since this has happened. There have been no in-person encounters. Another big suggestion was to contact, my leasing office and all of those things. And please note that this took place closer to 2 weeks ago. So I have done those things. And since this video got a lot more attention than I anticipated, I hope you'll understand why I haven't been so forward or forthcoming with sharing those types of details in the comments. But just know that I did take extra steps to make sure that, I'm safe. And then the other main suggestion I kept getting was to move. It's not something I'm thinking about at this time. Like I said, dealt with lots of crazy men. Just to give a few examples, I have to sign my first and last name at work on deposit orders for Brinks and whatever. So I signed my name before, and the Brinks guard has taken my first and last name and found me on socials. Same things with FedEx, man. I have to sign off on packages. They've taken that information, gone to socials. Let's say I do move, right? I pick up and I move to a new community. There's always going to be another man like that. And if you just look in my comments, so many women shared their stories of things similar, and it's disheartening. A lot of people said I was too nice. And to a certain extent, I agree. I am a nice person. I like a sense of community, but I understand you can't be in community with everybody. I have neighbors that I say hi and bye to in the hallway that don't have my socials. I have neighbors that I say hi and bye to in the hallway, and they do have my socials. This is my only neighbor that crossed boundaries like these. We can dissect my story, right? I put it out there to be consumed. No matter how nice you think I was, his audacity and his craziness far exceeded my niceness. A lot of the comments were saying, why does he have your socials? Why does he have your number? I gave it to him years ago. And until now, he hadn't used it in a way that I thought was inappropriate. But when he did, I blocked him. Nothing I could have said, nothing I could have done warranted him being at my door at 2 a.m., calling me 15 times, and then the next day texting me demanding that I text back. There's nothing that I could have said or done that warranted that. And I hope that was the takeaway. And there's just one teeny tiny last thing. I promise, last thing. Jiggle versus giggle is whooping y'all's ass. I can promise you that man was not at my door handle making it giggle. I have to go. My mom is calling me.
This is a story time nobody asked for. This is a story of the Christmas that changed everything and basically derailed temporarily the rest of my life. How I found out my husband had an affair while we were under contract on land to build our dream home. So December 2024, my ex-husband and I had looked high and low for land in our area to build a dream home on. We had picked out a floor plan. It was a massive house. It was like a 5,000 square foot house. We had searched for many, many months to find the perfect piece of land. We had picked out the floor plan, had requested edits on the floor plan. We were so excited. Again, it was like this 5,000 square foot ridiculous house that we didn't need. I mean, it was only going to be the two of us and our two children, but yeah, that should have been, I guess, foreshadowing that we were doing a bunch of shit that we didn't need to be doing, but neither here nor there. So we were under contract on the land. We had just signed it early December, first or second week of December. Not long after, maybe a couple days after we went under contract, my ex-husband had a work party in Atlanta. We live outside of Atlanta, and he told me that he had to stay in a hotel downtown, which I remember questioning him. I'm like, why do you need to stay in a hotel downtown? Like, you're 40 minutes away. But he said everybody was staying down there, so I didn't really question it after that. But anyways, the last night of his work party, I ended up having a dream that he had cheated on me. And it was kind of weird because the night before, he didn't FaceTime me when he got back to his room, which he typically does, especially to ask just like how the kids were, whatever. He like stopped texting me around like 8 o'clock. I went to bed. You know, I was home with 2 kids. I'm tired. My youngest one was like 1 at this time. So I was really freaking tired. So I went to bed, had that dream. I woke up, and if you're a woman, you know, like there's something crazy about our intuition, right? So I just had this gut feeling, like this really bad feeling in my stomach. And I remember texting him and I was like, did you cheat on me last night? And his response was, that's a silly question. Of course not. Okay. So just remember that. Just remember that for later. So he comes home that night. Everything seems normal, fine. We continue to talk about the house. We're doing like festive things with our kids, etc. Like just the normal things in December that you do with your family. And then one night, it was a Saturday. So the Saturday right after his work party, I think his work party was Wednesday or Thursday. He gets a call from his aunt or his mom, not his mom, his aunt or his sister, that his mom, who lived up in Indiana, had a stroke, like a really, really, really bad stroke. And they didn't really know like if she was going to make it. And so my husband, ex-husband, Lord, ended up leaving like pretty immediately, like maybe an hour or so after he found out, to head up to Indiana with his sister. And initially they were going to drive, and I just texted him. I was like, why don't you guys just fly? I mean, it's going to take you 8 hours or so to get there. You might as well just fly so you can get there sooner, you know, just in case. So I travel internationally for work, so I had a bunch of Sky Miles, and I bought his flight using my Sky Miles so he could go see his mom. So everything's fine the entire time he's up there with his mom in the hospital. You know, I'm going back and forth with him saying, you know, should we, you know, put pause on building the house? I have a feeling that, you know, a lot of the financial stuff for your mom is going to end up falling, you know, into our hands. Just because that was the situation. And, you know, I kind of understood that. And I was like, maybe we should just hit pause until we kind of understand, you know, what we're going to be able to really have to take on. And his response to that was, no, this is our life. Like, we have to push forward. Okay. Just remember, that was probably on Wednesday, when he's saying this, and he's due to come home Friday or Saturday. 2 days later, he's still up there. He just starts acting kind of funny. And again, I just had like this bad feeling in my stomach. Just really bad. I don't really know how to explain it, but he was just acting funny. And I kept saying like, you're off, something's going on. Like, are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, everything's fine. So then I pick up from the airport Saturday morning. Okay. And we're in the car, and I can just tell something's wrong. So I'm like nagging him, basically like, tell me what's going on. Like, did I do something wrong? Blah, blah, blah. 3 days before Christmas. This 3 days before Christmas, okay? He goes, I think we're going to separate. Huh? Like, what? And I'm like, you're stressed about all the stuff with your mom. Like, what are you talking about? And he's just like, I think I want to separate. So, of course, I fall apart. Came out of freaking nowhere. Like, I was so blindsided. So blindsided. So when we get home, my parents are there because they stayed with my kids while I drove to the airport, and I just lose it. He just goes upstairs, doesn't say hey to my parents, nothing. Just goes upstairs, and I'm losing it. Like, he says he wants to separate. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, how can he say this? What is he talking about? Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, part 2 of the story time that nobody asked for. about how I found out my ex-husband was having an affair while we were under contract on land to buy our dream home on. I know only like 2 people will see this, but you know what? It feels pretty freeing to be able to just talk about it and get it out there now that it's been like a year. I'm on the other side of things, but and sorry about my lip. My 2-year-old scratched me. I promise it's not like the herpaderp or something like that. It's just a scratch. But anyway, I think I left off with him coming home from visiting his mom after she had a stroke and telling me he wanted to separate. And that I was just completely blindsided. So I think I cried so much that day that I ended up with a migraine and went to bed like super early. So over the next couple days, I think the most frustrating part of all of this is that he like refused to talk to me about anything. It's like he thought just telling me he wanted to separate was enough, and that's all he had to give me. Like he didn't feel like he needed to provide like any explanation, nothing. So Christmas Eve rolls around. Typically every year we host everybody at our house for Christmas Eve, but obviously this year, like he kind of derailed everything. Like didn't want to do any Christmas shopping with me, nothing. And I just remember Christmas Eve, like after the kids went to bed and I should say I was wrapping all the gifts. I think he wrapped like 1 or 2 gifts and put maybe one thing together for our kids, and I did the rest. I just remember him sitting there and I'm like telling him like I refuse to get a divorce. Like I'm not doing that to our kids. I'm not going without seeing my kids every day. Like those kids are my world. And I'm not doing that to them. Like I told him he was just stressed out about his mom. He needed to like stop and breathe and think about it before he really made like this rash decision. And at one point that night, he starts laughing at me and is like, you better enjoy this Christmas because it could be the last one that we spend as a family. Just laughing. Like he said it while he was laughing. Like how fucked up is that? Who says that? Who the fuck says that? I don't know. I'm sorry about my language, but who the fuck says that? I couldn't imagine saying that to somebody, but it's because I'm not a piece of shit. So we get through Christmas. I think both my kids had the flu. We're still sleeping in the same bed at that point, okay? He hasn't even used the word like divorce. He's basically just told me like, I think we're gonna separate, but I'm not giving you like any type of definitive answer right now type thing. And one of my best friends got married on New Year's Eve that year, and he was supposed to go with me to the wedding. And conveniently for him, he ended up having the flu. So I had to go by myself, and I unfortunately cried at my best friend's wedding while we're bringing in the new year, but it was a great wedding other than that. It helped get my mind off things. But so we get through that. I think he goes to Canada for a work trip early January. Still hasn't told me that he wants a divorce. I'm begging him to like go to marriage counseling at this point. And he says, okay, fine. Like, I feel like I owe it to you to go to marriage counseling, blah, blah, blah. And then like a day later, he comes in, he was like, I think I'm just going to marriage counseling for the wrong reasons. And I don't want to go because the only thing I'm going to tell you at marriage counseling is that I want a divorce. Like, I'm going to take you to counseling just to reiterate that I want a divorce. And that's what ended up happening. We went to one session of marriage counseling and he was like, no, it's over. And of course, like, my immediate thought is like, you're cheating on me, because nobody just abruptly ends a relationship or a marriage like that. You just don't, like, unless there's somebody in your back pocket. And like, thinking back, he had done this to me one time while we were dating, and shame on me for ever going back to him, but he told his ex-girlfriend that we had broken up, left me abruptly, said he was going to visit his mom, and was really with his ex-girlfriend, and he's never been faithful in any relationship. So yeah, shame on me. But yeah, I definitely thought he was cheating, and his response every time I would ask him if he was cheating on me was, I know it would be much easier to be able to blame it on the fact that I'm seeing someone else or there is someone else, but this is on you. Like, the divorce was purely my fault. Like, he did nothing wrong, okay? Nothing. And I could tell you guys so many things he did wrong, including like trying to cheat on me while I was pregnant with our first child. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, so he goes on a work trip to Canada, comes home, and during his trip to Canada, like, I thought maybe things were like starting to click for him, that maybe he didn't want a divorce, because he was like sending me pictures of his team and texting me quite a bunch, and I don't know, it was just the normal stuff that would have been like, had it been that we were still like in a normal marriage or whatever, our normal marriage, our normal selves, let's put it that way. So he comes home and he's like, yeah, well, I have to go back up at the end of the month to help my mom move into a rehab facility. And I had been talking to his dad about like what was going on, and hold on, I gotta get my thoughts together. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained. I had been talking to his dad about what was going on because they were dumbfounded too. And one of the things that, you know, my ex-husband was telling me was the reason that he wanted a divorce is because I never made an effort to like take our family up to Indiana where his family, like mom's side of the family, lives. And I only wanted to go to like Michigan where his dad lived. And I guess he told his dad that too. And his dad had just suggested, you know, like maybe you just need to suggest that you and the family go up and just be there for him while he's there with his mom. And so I did that when he said he had to go back up to visit his mom, and he like freaked out on me. It was like, you're so cheap. Like, I don't want you to go. You need to just stay here and take care of the kids. Like, I don't want you there type thing. Yeah, his response to it was pretty mean, but I mean, it's obvious now why he didn't want me there. But so he ends up going up there. He doesn't tell us like when he's coming back. He can't tell my son like what day he's coming back, wouldn't commit to like his return date, nothing. So everything's kind of normal with like communication from like, I think he left Friday to the following Wednesday, and then like communication stopped. So he like stopped responding to any messages. He wouldn't answer the kids' FaceTime. And I remember we FaceTimed him, I think twice in a row on Thursday night at like 6, maybe 6:30. I don't know. It was close to when I was going to put the kids in the bath and put them to bed, and he wouldn't answer. And I text him and I was like, hey, like the kids want to talk to you. And he goes, hold on. And I'm like, well, what are you doing that you can't like answer? And his response was, I'm changing my damn mom. Just keep that in your mind, okay? He was changing his mom, okay? That's why he couldn't answer. So something in my mind just clicked. Like, I think I knew from then on that like he was cheating. I had to have been somebody. And I remember like telling him that night, I'm like, I'm not stupid. Like, I know there's someone else. Like, your behavior is sketchy. The fact that you just like haven't been calling your kids or answering their FaceTimes, I'm like, it's sketchy and you're being weird, essentially.
Good morning. Happy Friday. This is part 3 to me finding out that my ex-husband had been having an affair while we were under contract on land to build our dream home on. Just gonna apologize because this is gonna be several parts. Like, this one probably won't even be the last part, but I just feel like
there's so much ground to cover. And I feel like last year was such a crazy year. Like, so many things happened that I feel like I could write a book about it. But yeah, one other thing too, I need to back up. So the land that we were under contract on, we were supposed to close, I think, on December 30th or like January 2nd or something. And he like didn't let the person know that we wanted to pull out until like a couple days before we were supposed to close. So obviously, like, we lost our earnest money because of that. So I was pissed about that. But am I surprised? No, because he's a moron. Sorry, I kind of have to hurry up on this one because I have an 8:30 gym class. But I think I left off with him being up to visit his mom and not answering the kids' FaceTime calls and saying that he was getting his damn mom dressed or changing his damn mom, one of those things. So like after that night, I was pretty convinced that he was for sure cheating. And before this, like, I told you guys, like, he would say, like, I know it'd be easier for you to, like, be able to blame this on somebody else or to think that there's somebody else, but, like, we're getting divorced. This is pretty much on you, blah, 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 blah. And, like, he had let me go through his phone and everything. So, like, for a while, I was like, there's no way he's cheating on me. Like, I have his location. He let me go through his phone. Like, there was never really a time that he was acting sketchy until that one random night at, like, the holiday party that he had for his work. But like, other than that, I'm like, surely, you know, he wouldn't have like one night with somebody and then like just want to dip after that. But silly me. So yeah, I was pretty convinced. And I remember just like the next day I was like, I don't think you're where you say you are. You're not FaceTiming the kids because like you don't want them to see where you are. You're acting sketchy. Like, I'm not stupid. We've been through this before. He wouldn't like give our son a like final, sorry, my voice is scratchy just because I'm tired. But wouldn't give our son like a firm date of when he was coming home, even though my son like kept asking like, when will you be back? When will you be back? Because I mean, at this point he had been gone for over a week, right? And he would just say like, I don't know yet, buddy. I don't know yet, buddy. So annoying. And the whole time he was gone and I would be texting him, I'm like, we can't do this to the kids. Like, it's going to be really hard on our son, Beckham, because he was 5 at this time. So he's obviously, all he's known is like his mom and dad being together, like being married in the same house, living together. I wasn't so much worried about my daughter because she was only 1.5 at the time. So she probably won't even remember like me and her dad being together. But I was really worried about my son, and he was like starting to act out because he was missing his dad, because he had been gone like on a work trip and then 2 trips to see his mom. So he was gone pretty much like the entire month of January into early February. And all he kept saying to me was, the kids will adjust. The kids will be fine. Just, like, stop worrying about the kids. Like, they'll be fine. I don't know why you're worried about the kids. And that really like made me so angry because I'm like, how can you not care about the kids? Like, we're their parents. They didn't choose this life. We chose to bring them into this world. I don't want to like damage and traumatize them. And I think you're just being like really selfish right now, because I mean, he was, but it just really made me angry that his only response was, the kids will be fine. So I accused him of not being where he's at, and I kept saying like, where are you actually at? And he would be like, you know where I am. I'm with my mom. So he flew home, I think on a Sunday, and he walks in with a huge suitcase. So like he had to check his bag, right? And the first thing I noticed is he doesn't have the checked bag tag on. So I'm like, where's your checked bag tag? And he's like, there's things called trash cans. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but like you've never, anytime we've traveled, you've never like been at the airport and like immediately taken off your checked bag tag or whatever. So that was super sketchy to me. And then he like immediately went and took my son to like go get McDonald's or something. So this is bad, but I don't really care. I was his wife at the time. I looked in his backpack, which was like his carry-on, and his wedding ring that he was still wearing when he left was in the bag, and his passport was in the bag. And I'm like, why the fuck would he need his passport to go to Indiana? Like, you don't. And he doesn't normally carry his passport like when he travels, unless we're traveling internationally or something like that, obviously. But yeah, that was really weird to me. So I never said anything to him about it. Like, I don't even know if he knows that at that point that I like looked in his bag and like saw it. But yeah, so I like asked him, I'm like, we have a joint credit card. We had a joint credit card. I was an authorized user on it, so I couldn't see like the balances or the charges or anything. Like, it would only show up on his account. So I was like, I want to see, and I knew he had some credit cards that I didn't have access to. I wasn't an authorized user, like I didn't have a card. I was like, I want to see credit card statements because you're, doing something crazy. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. I don't think you were where you said you were. You were probably at a hotel somewhere. Like, I want to see credit card statements. So, he's like, I'm not showing you any credit card statements. Like, you're being ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And the fact that you won't show me is just like further proof that like you're being sketchy. Because if you had nothing to hide, like I feel like you'd be fine showing me. So he was like, you know what? I asked my friend if I can move in with him. So I'm going to go ahead and like move my stuff out. So that same day, he sat down with our son and was like, Mommy and I are not going to be together anymore. And I'm going to go be living somewhere else. But you can call me anytime. And my son was really confused. Obviously, I couldn't even get through that conversation without crying. I'm like letting him talk and I'm just like crying. And he gets mad at me for crying in front of the kids because he thinks like I shouldn't ever let our children see me being emotional because apparently adults aren't allowed to have emotions. But yeah. So he sits him down and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to go take some stuff over there and I'll be back. So he like leaves, puts our son down that night, and he leaves and he never comes back, like to live in the house. Didn't come back that night. So our son essentially woke up and his dad was moved out. He had told me he would be back, to take him to school in the morning. And then of course, later that night, he was like, it's just late. Like, go ahead and take them to school and, maybe I'll pick them up tomorrow. Okay, yeah, sorry. You're gonna have to go back for part 4. Okay, this is part 4 to me finding out that my husband was having an affair. And I'm really sorry. I know some of you are getting annoyed that it's taking so long, but what you guys have to understand is there was so much that happened over the span of the last year. And there's still stuff that's happening. I still got tea on things going on today, but I'm trying to go as fast as I can. There's just so much to cover that was so bizarre and just honestly really fucked up. And I know I think somebody said get a good lawyer. We're already divorced. We're already done. We went through the whole process. I wouldn't be on here talking about this on a public platform if we were going through the divorce and custody process. So somebody also asked me, was there a stamp in his passport? No, but he was out of the country at the time, and you'll find out later why there was no stamp in his passport.
But another thing that clued me in about like him being not where he said he was is we both shared like a MacBook at the time because I didn't really use a laptop, so I didn't feel like I needed like a separate laptop from him. So like we just used the same laptop. Both of our emails were logged into it, whatever. And he didn't take the laptop on that trip with him, and he takes that laptop everywhere. Like if he's taking his phone, he's taking his laptop. Like he would take it to work in the office with him type thing. Like he would always have this laptop on him. So he comes home, he moves up the same day that he gets home after being, gone for 10 days. He ended up moving in with his male friend that and I'm not saying anything bad about this, like, at all. His male friend who dates men, which great for him. I'm all about like love who you love. I swear I'm not saying anything bad about it, but it was just interesting to everybody, like even his dad, that he moved in with his friend that's gay, and his dad like literally thought like maybe he was gonna come out of the closet, which I guess could explain why he's never happy with a female, but that's me speculating. That's everybody speculating. But anyways, I'm probably gonna regret saying that, but yeah. So he moves in with his friend. That following weekend was Valentine's Day, and my son had asked him if we could spend Valentine's Day together, and have like a movie night, and he said yes. So Valentine's Day rolls around, he shows up, brings like little Valentine's gifts for them, says they're from me, but I'm like, oh man, I've already got them like a whole ass Valentine's basket. Like I'm always prepared. And he's here at the house for like 20 minutes, and then he tells my son like, okay buddy, like I gotta go. And my son like gets really upset because I mean he had spent like no time with his dad in the past like month and a half, almost 2 months, and he was really looking forward to being able to just like spend some time with his dad. So I told him, I'm like, you can do whatever you want to try and hurt me, but don't do it to our kids. Like they're innocent. Our son thinks you walk on water, like you're his hero. Just you need to stay and watch the movie with him, and like I can go upstairs, I don't even have to be out here. But he doesn't. He's like, I just got to get out of here. So I thought maybe it was like he was just in his emotions, like about his mom or something. So I text him after that, and he's like, no, I just had to get out there. Like I can't even look at you. And I'm like, okay. Like I don't know what I did wrong, but yeah. So he was like, we'll just go eat breakfast together. Yeah, we did not go eat breakfast. He like ghosted us until that night when his dad was due to come into town from Michigan to spend some time with my son because they have a very close relationship. So his dad comes into town. He comes to pick up my son, and he puts my son in the car, and then he comes inside and he's like, the reason I can't look at you is because you're like part of the reason my mom had a stroke. And I was like, what? Like, how does that even track? Like, how did you derive that conclusion? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How is it my fault your mom had a stroke? And he went on to say, like, his mom was living here like 6 months prior. She was struggling financially, and that's why she like moved back home, and then ended up getting her place up, like a place up there. That she really couldn't afford, so she was stressed out about financials, and it was all my fault for not like offering for her to like move in with us. And I was like, how the fuck was I supposed to know she was struggling financially if you didn't fucking tell me? Like, I'm not a psychic. How am I supposed to know that? Like, how is that my fault? And you didn't offer, you didn't ask, you never came to me to talk about anything. So I got so upset. So upset about him just like blaming me for that fucking bullshit, because that was trash. Because when she was moving back home, like I was 6 months into going back to work after having my second child, so I'm trying to figure out work. I struggled with postpartum depression a little bit after my second one. Like I just didn't feel like myself, but like after my first one, I had postpartum depression so bad. I remember going to him and saying like, I think Beckham would be like better off without me. And his response to that was, it's not that hard to be happy. So yeah, I'm 6 months into juggling being a single mom, or not a single mom, a mom of 2 and having my full-time job. I had gotten like a new role and I was like learning everything new. So it was just a lot on my plate. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know something that you're not going to tell me? And I was already stressed out myself, but I guess that didn't matter. It was all my fault. So yeah, his dad comes down. He's going to take my son to basketball camp on that Monday. And I reminded my ex-husband, I was like, hey, don't forget, you have to like pack him a lunch. Because they're staying in a hotel. He like wouldn't even let his dad come stay at the house with me, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. Because I love his dad, and we still to this day have like a decent relationship. But back then, like I was talking to his dad quite frequently. So at like 9 p.m. that night, he's like, okay, I'm gonna come pick up a lunch from the house, because I ended up packing it, of course. And like 45 minutes later, I had his location during this weekend, because he had my son, and it was like the first weekend he was in Atlanta, like staying in Atlanta, like downtown, and I just wanted to make sure like I had his location. My son also had his tablet, which we have his location on too, on like Find My Friends or whatever. So he's like down at the hotel, and like 45 minutes later, I like check his location to see if he's like almost here, because it's late. And it shows him like sitting in the parking lot at in the hotel, like still in Atlanta, and I'm like 40 minutes north of Atlanta, so he's like still sitting in the parking lot, and I can see that my son's like inside the hotel room. So I just remember being like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you sitting? You have to be like outside FaceTiming or talking to somebody that you don't want your dad to like know that you're talking to, because like he would chew you out type thing if he found out like there was another woman. But he denied it. But I'm not stupid. So yeah, that was just another thing that clued me in that there was someone else, because he's just like a shady ass person, and he's just like a compulsive liar. But and then the end of that month is my sister's birthday, so she's like into February, last day of February. And I asked him ahead of time, like 3 weeks ahead of time, I said, hey, we're gonna go out for my sister's birthday to celebrate, like can you come stay with the kids that night, so like I don't have to like, so for once in the like since the last like 3 months I could sleep in maybe, and not have to like be home early with the kids since you don't live here anymore. So he says yes. He says he's gonna stay there. So I go out with my friends, or my sister and her friends, and I had just started like new medication for like my depression, and I didn't drink that much that night, but for whatever reason, like it did not mix well with my medication. And I came home and he's filming me, and he was about to just leave me with the kids, even though he knew like I was in no condition to like be with the kids.
Geez, some of y'all out here like big mad that I didn't like film this all in one go and post them all at the same time. Like, I'm sorry, I have a full-time job that I have to film like in between like meetings and stuff, and I do have 2 kids. So yeah, I had like 12 followers yesterday, so I didn't expect like many people to actually see this. This was really just like more for me. But anyway, this is part 5 of me finding out my husband had an affair. So I think I left off that I came home from celebrating my sister's birthday. I was under the influence because I had been drinking, and it didn't mix with the new medication that I started literally that day. I didn't realize it at the time, but my sister walked me in and he was filming me, and she was like, I think you should stay here. She's obviously like not in a position to just like be here alone with the kids, which he had agreed to stay the night anyway. So like I thought, he was going to be there and he was going to be taking care of the kids. But my sister said like as soon as I walked in the door, like he put his backpack on and was like ready to leave at like 2 a.m. So yeah, he was going to leave me there with the kids. But I ended up going to bed, woke up the next morning to him at like 9 a.m. being like, get up, get out of bed. Like, I'm trying to leave. You're being ridiculous. And I'm like, sir, I don't think I've slept in till 9 for the past like 6 years since before like our son was born. Like, I was the one who got up every single morning, even on the weekends, like with our children. You never freaking got up. Like, chill. This is one night. Like, I had fun for one night and you're bitching at me to get up. So he starts filming me again because I'm just like, please, like, shut the fuck off. Essentially, like, leave me alone. So yeah, he's basically like, I can't wait to show this to an attorney. And I'm like, you show it to an attorney. I'm sure it looks really bad for you that you saw the condition I was in and you were just gonna leave like the kids with me by yourself. So I thought you were staying. So who was really actually putting like the kids in potential danger or whatever? So I don't know. He's such a fucking moron. But yeah, so that week I'm having lunch with my girlfriend at work in the office. I think it was like, honestly, like coming on 1 month ago today. I think it was like the same week. But that friend specifically, like, she's one of my best friends. She was actually on like the same like broader team as my ex-husband. And one of my best guy friends who also works at the company, and his wife, they're good friends of mine, worked on his team. Not the wife, but the ex-husband. And she had mentioned to me like earlier that her husband maybe had brought up to her that it was weird, like Chris, ooh, I said his name. Sorry. That my ex-husband was acting weird. Like, he just went back to the room early, like every night, instead of like going out and having drinks, which if anybody knows my ex-husband, like, he would never give up an opportunity to go have drinks with people, and like would always stay out late with people on work trips. So he found that to be a little weird. So I thought that was super interesting. But anyways, I was having lunch with my friend slash his coworker at the office, and I just brought it to her. I'm like, I don't know, like, I just have this feeling. And she was like, I don't know, I feel like it has something to do with Canada. And I was like, oh my gosh, me too. And I was like, I don't know what it is. And she was like, I don't know if maybe he like hired some escorts or something out there, but I don't know. She's like, I just have a feeling it has to do with Canada. And I was like, that's so weird, because I have the exact same feeling, not about the hookers, but like, I have a feeling that it has something to do with Canada. And I was telling her, I was like, but I was looking up like the org chart, because yes, we all work for the same company, by the way. I was looking up the org chart, and I was like, there's just like one girl that I could see like being his type, because she's blonde hair, blue eyed, and that's what he always went for. I was like, I could see her being his type, but like, she's married with kids. And she was like, no, I don't think those are her kids. Like, I think those are her stepkids, but yeah, she's married. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, we gotta figure this out. Like, we gotta figure this out. So she and I like went up to a conference room, and I was like, you know what? Like, remember how I had to book his trip for his mom using like my Sky Miles and everything? When he went to initially visit his mom, I was like, I still have his login information for his like account, I won't say which airline, his airline account, saved on my laptop, because he gave it to me to like book his flight. And I went and I logged in, and this is bad, but like, honestly, like, I don't care. Like, I was his wife. He gave me his password, whatever. I don't give a shit. I logged into his account, and sure enough, there was a flight that Wednesday that he was gone visiting his mom from Indiana to Toronto. And then he had a flight from Toronto back to Atlanta the day he came home. So I was like, okay, like, how do we figure out like if it's who it is, like, or if it's just like a crazy situation where it's like he just met somebody random up there, like when he was there for work. And then also we noticed on his like airline account that he had a trip planned back to a different part of Canada for April, and it was a weekend in April. And our birthdays are in April, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna text him and say that, and again, I don't care what anybody thinks about me doing this because like he cheated on me, so he can get fucked. But I texted him and I was like, look, I'm trying to go on a girls trip this weekend, which is the weekend like he was supposed to be like going to Canada or whatever. And I was like, could you be with the kids? Like, it's a girls trip. We're gonna celebrate my birthday. And he was like, oh no, like I have to go be with my mom that weekend. And I'm like, well, can't your other sister help? And he's like, no, she can't. Like, I have to be there. I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to choose another weekend. And I was like, wow, okay. So I was like, I love that he's just like straight up lying to me, and the fact that like I know is great. So I was like texting my friends all that on the way home, or my one friend that we like had just figured this out, the whole airline thing, flight thing. I was texting her on the way home, and both at the same time we were like, go look at her calendar, her work calendar, and see if she was out of the office the same days that he was visiting his mom. And sure fucking enough, she had her out of office like on her calendar for the days that he was visiting his mom, and she also had her out of office scheduled for the days that he had that upcoming flight to Canada. So I was like, holy shit, like we figured it out, like it's her, like that's not a fucking coincidence, like at all. I went I went home, and he had come over, I think, just to drop off the kids that night, because his spending time with the kids at that point was him picking them up from school and just dropping them off at the house. That was him spending time with the kids, okay? So he drops them off, and I told him, I said, look, I'm gonna file for divorce, and I'm gonna file for adultery. And he just like starts laughing, and he's like, good luck with that. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna file for adultery, so just don't be surprised like when you get served. And he goes to leave, and he was like, I'll see you later, or I'll talk to you later, whatever. And before he walked out the door, and I'm just gonna make up a name because I'm not gonna say her name for privacy purposes, even though I said his, I was like, tell Rebecca I said what's up. And he was like, huh? And he turned around, and I was like, tell Rebecca I said what's up. And he was like, I don't know where Rebecca. And he was like, wait, I've talked to Rebecca like 3 times, like we don't know each other. And I was like, bro, I know it's her. I know you guys have been having an affair. I know you're going on a trip with her in like 2 weeks or in April, whatever. I know you weren't with your mom. Like, I know everything. And I was like, you can't lie your way out of this one. And he was like, okay, I will tell you everything, but you have the wrong person. So he was gonna blame it on like another coworker and say he was having an affair with another coworker, but it was really this girl, I guess, to just like save her ass. I don't know.
Okay, part 3651. Part 6 to me finding out my husband was having an affair. Yeah, so I think I left off with the fact that I had said, yeah, we're gonna still call her Rebecca. Tell Rebecca I said what's up, and him just being so like dumbfounded, like, who's Rebecca? Like, I don't know Rebecca. Me and Rebecca have only talked like 3 times. I'm so sorry, guys, that I'm laughing, but like at this point in my life, or at this point, I guess afterwards, like it's been over a year, like it's just funny to me at this point. I guess I just don't care at this point. I'm so baffled at what I went through and how like shitty of a human he is, and I'm so happy that we're not together anymore. And nothing against her, like she and I actually get along. So yeah, anyway, I said tell Rebecca like I said what's up, and he's really starting to like freak the fuck out at this point. So I'm like, yeah, well, we're not gonna try to blame it on a different coworker because we both know like it's not somebody else. And of course he would do that because he's a piece of shit, but that's besides the point. So I looked at him and I was just like, I know it's her, I know it's not somebody else. And he's just like, you can't say anything. And I'm like, but like, does her husband know? And he says to me, he found out a lot sooner than you did. And he was smiling. You guys, he was fucking smiling when he said this. Like, he was proud that it took me a lot longer to figure out that they were having an affair together than her husband did. Like, he thought that was just like so great that he hit it like an extra like 3 months that they were having an affair. And I was like, so like, are they divorced or like what's going on there? He's like, all their paperwork is signed. I'm like, cool. So like, I'm gonna talk to him. Like, I'm gonna figure out who this motherfucker is. I'm gonna fucking talk to him. This is gonna be great. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, does she feel bad about the fact that, because I know she knows that like you're married with kids. Like, does she feel bad about like the fact that you're married with kids? And he's like, of course she does. She feels so bad. I'm like, oh, so bad that you guys are just like making this like a whole relationship and you guys are just like leaving both your marriages because you're decided to hook up, whatever. And that conversation, I'm like, okay, well, you just have to leave at this point. Like, this is gonna go nowhere. It's gonna go nowhere good. So that night, I FaceTime my friends, my two of my best friends, one of which was the girl that we were sitting in a conference room, and we figured out that he went to Canada. But in the other one is my other best friend who also works for the same company because we're such a tight-knit community. But no, I actually met them through work, and now they're like two of my best friends. Way before like any of this happened. So we've been friends for like years. But I FaceTimed them that night, and I'm like, okay, guys, like, this is what's going on. Obviously, my one friend knew what's going on. We're filling in my other best friend, and we're just like on FaceTime, and these girls are just like doing the fucking Lord's work. Okay, so they're just sitting there, and we're like trying to figure out like who her husband is, and he's really fucking hard to find because I guess they just didn't really. I mean, they had social media, but it's like, we knew her first and last name, but he was like hard to find on social media. And like, finally, one of my girlfriends, like, she found what we thought was his Instagram. And so, you know, I DM him and I'm like, look, hey, I hate to be the one sending you this message. Cause I didn't believe my ex-husband that like her husband knew. Like, I thought he was probably like in the dark like I was. That if anything, I thought that they were like still in a marriage and he had absolutely no fucking clue about what was going on. So I DM him like, hey, I'm really sorry to be like sending you this kind of message, but I think that my husband and your wife might be having an affair, and I think like maybe we just need to talk. And he sends me a message back and he was like, we absolutely do need to talk. Let me like give you a call in a couple hours. Good morning. Happy Saturday. This is part 7, I think, to me finding out that my husband or ex-husband had been having an affair. So I think I left off that I like sent a DM to what I was pretty sure was her husband, his mistress's husband, that I thought that they were having an affair and that maybe we should chat. And he had responded and said, yeah, I think we should talk. So he ended up calling me, I think this was on a Friday. He ended up calling me like mid-morning. And another thing that was funny too, it's like my friends that were helping me like find him the night before, like one of my best friends just like gives 0 fucks, and I love that about her. Like, she found this man's brother, and she literally fucking called him like 2 times. 2 times at midnight. I thought that was hilarious. Like, I love her for that. But anyway, this woman's husband gives me a call, and he's like, yeah, they've for sure been having an affair. I've known since January. And he's like, I'm so sorry that like I haven't reached out. I really wanted to. Like, I found you as soon as I found out about them. Like, I found you on Instagram, and he was like, it just really made me sad to see that like you have 2 kids too. And the only reason I haven't reached out is because my attorney basically told me not to until we had like finalized everything, because they had already started like the process of divorce or whatever, and you know that can get nasty. So he had known since January, and I basically was like, I just want to hear like your part of the story before like I tell you my side. So he starts like telling me from the beginning that like he was here with her like the weekend before their work party, like touring Atlanta. And then he flew back, and a lot of our stories had a lot of similarities, and it was like really weird and off-putting like how similar it was. Like, he told me that the reason that they were getting a divorce was because she said like his depression was an issue. They apparently both told us on the exact same day that they wanted to separate. They both took us to marriage counseling to let us know, just to tell us that, like, to reiterate that they like wanted a divorce. I'm trying to think what else. There was a lot of similarities, but yeah, after that phone call, and I had written everything down because I was like, I hope you don't mind, but like, I'm gonna have to document everything for when I like file for divorce and like go through custody or whatever. So I ended up telling my ex-husband, I was like, look, and by the way, they had not finished any paperwork. Like, they were very much in the very beginning, very thick of things. Like, and I guess it takes like quite a while to like even go through a divorce up there. I don't know. Anyways, so obviously my ex had lied about that, which no shock there. He lies about literally everything. He literally lies about like what color his hair is. Anyway, so I let my ex know that I had spoken to him and I knew everything, and there was like no trying to lie his way out of who it was or what was going on. This guy had like seen messages between the two of them. That's how he found out. And that they had indeed cheated the night of the holiday party. And so my dream was right. Like, I swear, I feel like that was like God speaking to me and being like, ma'am, wake up. You've got to know what's going on. And yeah, it's still so crazy and bizarre to me how like true that was, how true my dream was. And I just really know that it was like a God thing. But so once I told him that I knew everything, like, he started begging me like not to say anything to work, because I was like, technically, you know, she's above you. She's on the same leadership team as your manager. You directly support her. So technically she could have a say in like your salary and your bonus and your performance for the year. So like, I'm like, technically, I'm pretty sure like it's a violation. Because it's not a violation like at our company, like if you date, as long as you're not like someone's like superior or whatever, or can't like influence their performance, whatever. So he starts begging me like not to say anything to work, and he's just like, she's a really good person, and I'll do anything, like I'll stop talking to her, just please don't say anything. You can have all the equity on the house, like I don't need anything. I will pay you whatever in child support. I only need to see the kids like once a month, 1 week in a month. So when I thought about it later, like the fact that he was willing to give up the custody of his children and only see them once a month, just so like, I guess to try and save her at work, which it's really hard to get fired at our company. So if anything, like I just assume that they would say like, you can't come to the Atlanta office or something. I don't know, or get a new job, like within the company. But yeah, he was basically like willing, I guess, to save her because he thought like she would end up getting fired, and giving away his custody, I guess, was one way he was willing to do that. But yeah, it got to a point where not long after that, I ended up like talking to his manager at work because I felt like it wasn't fair to me that not only was I dealing with this like in my personal life, but like I couldn't even escape it at work. Like I had to be worried or have so much anxiety about like running into her at the office, and like I didn't feel it was fair to me that I had to deal with this at home and at my job. So I ended up speaking to their manager, and like I said, I knew that no one would get fired. I just figured they would say like, don't come to the Atlanta office, or you need to get like a different job and you can't like be in Atlanta type thing. At least till like everything with us was finalized. But yeah, and when he found out that I talked to the manager, he came home and was like, I'm taking the kids from you. I'm taking everything from you. Like, you're going to regret this. So I ended up like immediately like lawyering up that day, because I'm like, just because, you know, this happened at work doesn't mean it gives you any grounds to try to take the kids away from me, because I'm the one who's been here like 24/7 with the children. You've kind of just like dipped out. The only time you see them is when you like pick them up from school every now and then, just drop them off at my house. So yeah, he basically was threatening at that point to take the kids away from me. So I lawyered up and I served him like immediately. This is part 8 to me finding out about my ex-husband's affair. I think I left off with the fact that I had spoken to her, my ex-husband's mistress's husband, and basically told him that I had spoken to him, and he found out that I talked to his, or I guess their manager at work, and their manager like took it to HR. So he was threatening to basically try and take the kids away from me, which that wasn't going to happen. But I ended up lawyering up and immediately serving him. Number one, I know some people have been saying like, I hope for your kid's sake, like you can find peace with this. Like let me just say, like, I am at peace with it now. I have forgiven him because I'm not going to sit in a bunch of hate. Do I have to like him? Absolutely not. But I am allowed to talk about what happened to me. And that doesn't mean that I'm not like over it. I haven't found peace with it. You won't find me sitting here like bashing her either. Like, she and I are on very good terms. I got to a point where I was holding on to so much hate for her. I think last August, I finally reached out to her and I was like, look, I want to squash like any of the animosity that we have towards one another. I would love to meet you if you're going to be in my kids' lives. And she and I have met up for like drinks a couple times, and have kind of gotten to know each other. And she's really honestly the reason that he and I are even able to like effectively co-parent at this point, because if he's kind of like giving me any issues, like I'll kind of just go to her and be like, look, can I talk to kids, whatever the issue that may be. So you're not going to find me here like bashing her, and I don't want anybody to like be on here talking shit about her either, but in the comments. So but like I have moved on, but I am allowed to talk about what happened to me. But anyways, yeah, so once I talked to her husband, I did end up like messaging her on Instagram, and I was like, I know everything. I will never respect you. You will never be around my children. Like, I think you're disgusting, blah, 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 blah. It was a mean message, but like it was coming from a lot of hurt. Like, I just found out that, number one, she obviously knew that we were married. And number two, like I just found out that, you know, my husband basically, he left me for her, me and my kids. So, and just watching my kids be in that hurt, my son especially, hurting from this whole situation, like it just made me really fucking angry at the both of them. So yeah, after that, like things between us got pretty nasty. I served him. Like right after I served him, I found out she ended up getting a job at our Atlanta office, so she was moving here. That made it like really hard for me initially, and it was also like very surprising just like how quickly like everything like seemed to be happening, because this was like April. So he and I actually share the same birthday. Me, him, and his mom actually have the same birthday. So he ended up like giving me my papers back, like acknowledging service, and then responding to me serving him on our birthday. And I just remember like him leaving. I was like, that was really cruel. Like, obviously this birthday is already like
difficult enough for me, the fact that it's the first birthday. We share a birthday and it's the first birthday. Like, we haven't spent together in like 7 years. And I also just found out like you've been having an affair and we're going through a divorce. So I thought that was really cruel. And he just smiled at me and said, well, you shouldn't have like gone to HR about us, even though I didn't directly go to HR, but whatever. That's besides the point. He was just a really cruel person at the time. And honestly, it's kind of scary how like quickly he flipped the script on me, like literally overnight. But then it just got to the point where he was just like, I never loved you. The only reason we got married was, you know, because our son was born, blah, 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 blah. I've just been putting up with you for like the past several years. I've never been happy with you. Even though like my sister got married the prior November, like right the month before he told me he wanted a divorce, and he was like literally telling everybody at the wedding that we were about to get like have a third baby and things like that. Like, it's kind of scary how I guess great of a liar he is if he truly felt like he never loved me, but that's besides the point. I don't really care at this point. So yeah, he responded to me with a divorce on my birthday. He didn't want to spend any time with the kids on our birthday. And then so every year, like, he and I would celebrate our birthday by taking a family trip down to Santa Rosa in Florida. And come to find out, like, he ended up taking the woman down to Santa Rosa to celebrate his birthday. And once I found out about that, I was like, can you not be original? Like, are you just trying to like take someone and like insert it into our lives, like into your current life, and like everything else is just going to be like the same? It's just like with a different person. It was just like super weird to me. So yeah, he would just kind of like disappear. They would travel a lot. He wouldn't call the kids when he was traveling because my son would ask questions and be like, where are you at? And he would just never respond if he actually was calling them. And then I think, what was it, June, I went to the beach with my family and I took my kids, and my mom ended up getting into a really bad jet ski accident. Like, she broke her wrist, she broke her leg, she broke her ribs. Like, it was really bad. She couldn't walk. She had a huge like gash on her leg. So I had texted him and I was like, hey, like, I might need to send the kids back with my sister, and I may need to stay down here and like help my dad get my mom back to Atlanta. And so he like wouldn't respond to me. So I finally had to call his dad, and I was like, look, I don't know what to do. This is my situation. Like, my mom like got really hurt. She's in the hospital. Like, I might need to stay down here, and I can't get him to respond. And his dad basically called him and was like, get your head out of your ass. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then my ex was like refusing to take them because I guess it was like her birthday weekend, and he thought I was trying to do it on purpose. But yeah, no, I wasn't. So also another thing too is like right before we left for the beach, it was Father's Day weekend, and I told him, I said, hey, the kids really need to be with you on Father's Day. This is the only week that my family could all make it to go down to the beach. So I'm just gonna like let them stay with you Father's Day weekend. And I'll go down Monday, or I'll go down, you can have them Father's Day weekend, and then we can meet halfway on Monday. And then I'll take them back down to the beach with me. And he was like, no, don't do that. Like, the kids can just go with you. I'll just have like a de facto Father's Day, like the Friday before you leave. And so he told me he was coming back from a work trip on Friday. And so I finally was like texting him that week before, and I was like, hey, like, what time are you gonna pick up the kids on Friday to have them? Because we were obviously leaving the next Saturday since he didn't want to have them on Father's Day. And he was like, yeah, my flight lands at 3:30. And I'm like, so what the fuck is the point of like you even having them that day? Like, why didn't you come home like Thursday night or like early Friday morning instead of coming home on the afternoon? Well, how about this guy doesn't show up that night until I think 7 o'clock or 7:30. And then wanted to just like take my son to like Target, didn't even want to spend time with my daughter. And then he comes back and he's like trying to give me, he was like, hey, like, when we were down in Santa Rosa, you should go try out this place and this place, and like this place is fun. And I'm like, please shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to hear about places that you went in Santa Rosa with your mistress or girlfriend at this point. Like, he would just do like really cruel things like that to try and hurt me, and it just got pretty exhausting, to be honest.
I hate waking up early, but I love having a reason to think I'm better than everyone else.
Okay, quick intermission of my divorce saga so I can tell you guys a few things that my ex has said or done that I've had to heal from over the 7 years that we were together. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I just remember last year when I was like really in the thick of things, feeling very alone, especially because, you know, at my age, all your friends are in pretty much in the phase of life where they're like either in a serious relationship or they have kids, they have families, whatever. So I just remember seeing some creators that posted their stories that were kind of similar to mine, and it really made me feel less alone. So if there's if there's even just one person that I can make feel less alone through this, I think that's worth it. So here are just a few things, and I wrote them down so I could try to remember them all and try to make it as quick as possible. But yeah, these are just a few things that have happened over the course of the relationship when we were together. First one was, he told me he was going to visit his mom, but he really went to visit his ex-girlfriend. He went so far as to send a picture to me accidentally that he said he meant to send to his friend. And it was a picture of his car saying to his friend, like, oh my God, look at all the bugs that are on my car from driving to Indiana. But he wasn't smart enough to turn off his location on his picture. So I actually saw that he was in Florida. So he got caught real quick. He went out drinking with his friends the night I told him I was pregnant with our first. So just a little backstory. I was told by a specialist that I had a 3% chance of ever conceiving naturally. So me even finding out that I was pregnant naturally was a huge shock. And when I shared it with him, it was just like, it felt just as if it didn't mean anything to him. And for me, it was obviously a really big deal. So it was pretty disheartening that he just went out drinking with his friends that night. And was doing God knows what. Finding out I was not the only woman he had slept with or dated from work. And I was not. There was more than just one other person, mind you. Okay. Him texting, finding out later that he was sleeping with and dating me, his ex-girlfriend, and girls from Tinder all at the same time. Yeah. And then later finding out he was texting one of those said Tinder girls while I was pregnant, trying to hang out with her behind my back. And this is one that he had actually slept with. So yeah, she had no idea about me. So no hate to her. I like reached out to her and she was like, yeah, I had no idea that you even existed or that he had a baby on the way. So yeah, he's good one. Finding out he was Googling his ex-girlfriend while we were still in the hospital after I gave birth to our first child. Meanwhile, I was receiving blood transfusions from hemorrhaging so bad during my C-section. And he was just over there like Googling his ex-girlfriend. Yep. Me confiding, I know I talked about this, but me confiding in him about my postpartum depression with my first and saying that I thought our son was better off without me. And his response to that was, it's not that hard to be happy. Cool. Finding out through Snapchat friend suggestions that he got other females' phone numbers while he was on his bachelor trip to Miami. We were already legally married at this point. We eloped. Yeah. Finding texts after we were married when he went out one night with his friends to an ex from several years ago, apologizing to her, saying how sorry he was about how he treated her and hope she's doing well and all these other things. So I guess he is capable of apologizing. You just have to wait like 10 years to receive that apology. So yeah. Oh, and this girl, I think he cheated on his ex-girlfriend with this girl. So, you know, there's just lots of cheating going on here. Him unblocking his ex-girlfriend that he cheated on me with as soon as we got married. And his response to that when I confronted him was, I thought it didn't matter anymore since we were married. And come to find out, he had been emailing with this ex-girlfriend before we got married that he had been going to therapy and working on himself and changing. Yeah, no. He never went to therapy. Never. Just another lie. And just on this topic, he immediately unblocked her pretty much maybe a month after he told me he wanted to separate. And come to find out, she like reached out to me not too much longer after because she and I had connected afterwards. And she asked me if he was still with his mistress because he randomly was just like liking a bunch of pictures on her Instagram. So he's changed. Finding out on our honeymoon that he had previously gotten 2 other women pregnant. When we found out I was pregnant with baby number 2, his immediate response was, well, that sucks. Because we were going to Florida State that weekend with some friends to a college football game and I wasn't going to be able to drink. So his response was, well, that sucks. It sucked that I was pregnant. Even though we were trying for baby number 2, but it sucked that I was actually pregnant. And again, I wasn't supposed to get pregnant, conceived naturally. So I feel like he took the happiness of both my pregnancies away from me. Him going to Colombia on a bachelor trip when I was very pregnant with baby number 2 and him going completely ghost the last night there. And he deleted a bunch of text messages between him and his cousin that was there with him, of his cousin trying to find him and him telling his cousin that he was on the phone with me when he was in fact not on the phone with me. So I'm pretty convinced he was with like male hookers or something. Yeah. Obviously the affair and him telling me to enjoy the last Christmas we had together because it was probably going to be the last one as our family while he was laughing about it. Him telling me he never loved me and that our entire marriage was a lie and he only married me because of our first son, our first child. Him obviously blaming me solely for our divorce and also his mom's stroke and that me being depressed was clearly an issue. But, you know, it was postpartum depression, so. Telling me that his girlfriend is just as much of a mother as I am because she was a stepmom to her ex-husband's kids, which, no hate to stepmoms, I'm not saying anything bad about stepmoms. I think that's a completely different selfless job in its own, but I think comparing it to me, the actual mother of his children, that we are the same. When I went through pregnancy, birthed, went through bodily changes, went through emotional changes because of my hormones and everything like that, we are the same and equal as it relates to being a mom. So yeah, obviously I'm in a much better place now, but yeah, these are just a few things that I had to heal from. So clearly I should have left him a long time ago, but I wouldn't have had my kids. So, I mean, I can't say that I regret as much as I like hate the fact that I didn't walk away a long time ago. I'm very thankful for my children, but after all this, I know God is protecting me from something. So I'm honestly glad it worked out the way that it has, and I'm glad I'm out. Also, I'm not looking for a bunch of comments telling me how pathetic I am for like staying with him. I completely acknowledge now that I had no self-worth and that this whole process has made me realize what I deserve and what I am worth. And if that's all that comes out of it, alongside my children and my self-worth and me being able to be a better woman and a better mother, then so be it. But yes, I understand it was pathetic and demoralizing just based on everything that I pretty much put up with. So no need to let me know of that because I know.
Imagine paying for Netflix every month, but then also having to pay for every movie that you watch on Netflix. And then 3 months later, Netflix sends you a bill because one of the actors in the movie that you watched wasn't signed to Netflix. So you have to pay them directly as well. That would be really stupid, right? So anyway, that is how the healthcare system in America works. Story time on how I almost got grounded for my entire senior year. So this is my junior year summer. I think, yeah, junior year summer. I had already been caught multiple times for sneaking out, you know, like the whole 9 yards. And Life 360 was like my parents' lifeline. And I guess I just thought like I was slick, whatever, and I turned off the Life 360 by deleting the app. So this certain day, I had practically begged my mom to let me go to my best friend's house. And since I had already been in trouble with this friend multiple times, she was kind of hesitant, but eventually she ended up like being chill and letting me go. So of course, since it's high school, the first thing that me and her talk about when I get there to her house is what parties are tonight. I mean, it's midsummer, it's our junior year summer. Like, of course, that's the first thing that we're concerning ourselves with. So basically, with the way I remember it, we weren't able to find any like house parties or whatever, but there was this guy that she wanted to hang out with, and I guess that's what we decided the move was. We were gonna go over there and hang out, whatever, you know, whatever. So high school me being the slick person I thought I was like, oh, well, now that I've deleted my Life 360, there's no way that my mom is gonna know where I am. Like, I'm chill, whatever. We get there, whatever, we're having a good time, and I think it must have been like maybe 2 in the morning at this point. Like, it was very late, and we're all just hanging out, having fun, and I see a call out of nowhere from Mama, and I look at all of them, and I'm like, shut up, don't say anything. I was like, do not say anything. So I pick up the phone, and I'm genuine. This might have been one of the most scared I've ever been in my life. So I pick up the phone, and I'm like, hi, like, what's up? And she's like, why are you at so-and-so's house? Because she knew who this person was. And I was like, I'm not. I swear, I'm not. Like, I swear. And my mom, like, I can hear, like, the anger in her voice at this point. So I hang out with my mom, and I look at my best friend, and I'm like, we have to go right now. I literally, like, it might have been one of the most panic I've ever been. I look at her, I'm like, we have to go right now. Like, right this second, we have to go. This we're at is my neighborhood. Like, we drove all the way from her side of town back to my neighborhood to hang out. So my best friend and I, we book it to the car. We get in the car. I'm like, you need to go now, like, as fast as you can. We're booking it, whatever. And then we get, like, maybe 5 minutes into the drive, and my mom starts calling and texting again. And at this point, I'm, like, trying still. I'm, like, gonna die on the hill. I'm like, I can't tell her, like, what. I can't tell her what's going on. Like, I can't. Like, I gotta keep up with the lie. And at this point, I didn't realize what she was using. And so maybe a minute later, I start getting screenshots of my location on Find My iPhone. I guess my mom had unlocked that feature. My heart has never dropped like that. I genuinely mean it. I swear I saw the light for a minute. I was like, yeah, I'm so unbelievably cooked. But no, 17-year-old me was going to keep up with this lie, and I refused to back down. Never back down, never what? Never give up, I guess. We got back to her house, like booking it as fast as we could. It was probably 15 or 20 minute drive. And I run into her room. I change my clothes into what looks like, you know, like nighttime clothes. And that's when the wrath of my mother really kicks in. I start getting calls from her, and she's like, get outside now, get outside. And she starts ringing the doorbell. And we also had snuck out of her house, so her parents did not know that she was awake or that we were out. So her parents ended up coming outside. whatever, her parents like believe us for a little bit. Like they think that we didn't do it. Like we're trying to convince him that we didn't do it. And my mom smacks her hand on the hood of my best friend's car and is like, wanna bet? The hood's still hot. I don't know how my mom like unlocked all of these like hacks where she was able to like know what was going on, but I guess that shows how bad I really was. I think the most unfortunate part about all of this is that when I got in the car with my mom, I was still trying to lie to her, and at that point, like, it was so far gone, and I still didn't tell the truth. I didn't tell the truth until we were in the garage of my house, and the truth was a fabricated story, too. Yeah. Say that I was doing so much yard work the next morning. So much. 6 a.m., bright and early. And I also wish that I could say that I stopped being like this after this incident and that I really just turned a new leaf, and no, I didn't. Nope, I did not do that.